Hi, everybody. I'm Joe.
I'm Derrick.
And I'm Matt.
And we are your hosts for
Beats, Balls, and Bourbon,
the official supporter podcast for the LOUCITY Drumline, the Groove Machine. We have a great show lined up for you. Yes, that's this.
Yeah, this thing. I like pointing at things.
Yes, that's good to know.
I'm here only to break Joe off and make him laugh.
Yeah, well, it works.
Yeah.
So just want to first, before we even begin, want to say thank you to our guest from last week, Howie Lindsay, who was an employee of the team. We had Glenn Grum, who was here, and Mike Brownlow, Scouse, who was featured today. Scouse is featured on the USL Championship website.
That was pretty cool.
Which is very cool. So it was good to see. And I was in the picture, which makes it even better. So I'm hoping everybody thinks that he's me. And because I'm way better than looking Scouses.
Yeah. Because it said second from the left, and there was that one guy on the far left who was like half cut off. So you're like half Scouse.
Yeah, I'm half Scouse. I'm Scousling. How are you, Derrick?
I'm good. I've got high blood pressure. I like high scores. So
high scores and high blood pressure is never.
I'll take it.
Well, high blood pressure is a challenge.
High blood pressure, my gallbladder's not going to come out, and I'm not dying.
Well, hopefully, if you ever have to have your gallbladder out, it goes a lot better than mine goes. Because mine didn't go too well.
No, it didn't. No.
Mine did.
Matt, how are you, sir?
Not bad. I'm exhausted and sore, but I'm here. Best part of the week. Let's do this.
Everybody keeps getting sick.
That's what happens. Being sore all the time is what happens to every gigolo that I know.
Well,
So anyway, once again, I want to thank those folks. We have a great show today. Jorge Pazmino. Is it Pazmino or Pazmino? Pazmino. So I got that right. Jorge Pazmino, one of our awesome capos. I keep doing that. Jeez. James Pizzolato.
I guess
the Heretics. Yes, he's here. And then we're going to have Lisa Hines here. Patrick couldn't make it today. Patrick had to cancel late because apparently he had to go to Lamaze class.
Yep.
Because,
it's important.
It's very important because I think, you do not want to be on the wrong side of your wife as she's giving birth.
No.
I don't think that goes over real well. But Lisa Hines is one of our supporters. And like we've been talking about, we want to start bringing in more supporters that aren't necessarily part of any of the podcasts or lead any groups or something like that, because we want this to be about you guys. And hopefully, as we go on and we cycle through all the folks that have been, an integral part of that, and that's why we have the two guys that are on here today, and why we've had most of the guests we've had in the past, is that they've been around since day one and have done so many great things to help us out. So we feel that they deserve some time to talk to you all about anything that they want to. But we're looking forward to reaching out and doing a bunch of that. Also, we're going to tell you a little bit about next week's show. Next week's show is basically amazing, okay? Not that this one isn't. Not personal. Or he's like,
some offense taken.
Some offense taken. But we'll tell you about that in a little bit. We want to get rolling. But anyway, as we normally do, we have a game recap. Uncle Luigi did send us a poem and a song this week. Apparently,
a poem and a song.
Wow! His friendship with Juan down in Havana.
I guess he's got a lot of time on his hands down there.
Well, he's hiding from the police. Yeah. I mean, come on. But rumor has it that next week we may be reaching out to Bugsy O'Malley as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
Since it is what is it next week? What is the big lip? What is it?
LIPA FC, the Louisville Indianapolis Proximity Association Football Contest.
So we're gonna have, like I said, we'll talk about that in a while. But we're glad that you joined, and of course we have our game recap, which is kind of a happy one this week because things went pretty well.
Yes,
considering that
3 wins in a row.
3 wins in a row. It's 9 points.
It is,
and we have a wonderful poem and a song here that apparently Juan sent us. About all of this. So anyway, in Uncle Luigi's voice, we want to send it. Uncle Luigi, thank you so much for sending a poem. Here we go about last week. So here he is once again discussing the events about the game last Saturday night. As our boys in Purple continue to do what they could as they keep trying to make everything in the standings right. Things had gotten a bit sour. We weren't winning too much, and it made everyone start to have a real sad frown. But then after that, we got a couple of wins, which has gone a long way to get everyone on Twitter to calm the freak down, which is very important because Twitter is kind of crazy. Now, our opponent that night was a team there from Charleston, or the Battery, as we know them so well.
I got accused of battery once. Sorry.
he did.
Yeah.
What kind of battery? Now that you needed
Assault
to try
and.
assault.
Oh,
Somebody salted him. Okay.
I
The battery.
thought you were making cupcakes or something.
Okay. The battery, as we know them so well, but they ain't been winning. So getting the fans to come to the games for the owners must be a very difficult Duracell.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like a pun. There's a pun in there. Now, Charleston is known for a couple of things. One's a revolutionary battle fought down in the South. The other is a candy that nobody really likes that makes your teeth right out of your freaking mouth. I'm not really sure what's in a Charleston chew. Is it chocolate? Is it caramel? That lumpy thing of nut? All I know is that the one time I ever tried to eat one kind of tasted like something that came out of a rhinoceros's butt. But anyway, it's kind of nasty.
Ugh.
But anyway, I digress. I really should be nice.
Pretty
I
nice.
should give Charleston a chance. Besides, as you know, it is really much too easy to make fun of a town named after one of those silly dances. You ever been to Charleston?
No.
You do a little of this, you do a little of that. I don't know.
No.
No?
I was born sometime in the last 70 years.
Okay, there you go. Now, before the game started, there was a deluge. The rain fell thick throughout the park. There were big-ass puddles of water laying all over the place. Hey, they should have played the game on freaking Noah's Ark.
Right?
You heard of the Ark, right? Where Noah saved the animals as they were there in pairs of two.
Yeah, it's up in northern Kentucky.
Yeah. And since they were in pairs, oh my own, that boat must have been rocking back and forth. I mean, seriously, what the hell else was there to do? Okay, it's time to move on. Another song here from Juan about the exploits of the boys from Lou City and the way they was managed to play the game in a swamp. As one can guess, to do that, it must have been quite tricky.
Oh no.
Now, tricky's a clue, I think. Tricky may be a bit of a clue.
Here we go.
Brace yourselves.
I don't know. For us to win the title, more winning is so vital. To win the game, they light the flame to get 3 stars and to proclaim that Lou City's now the time. It's now the time to make it shine. Lou City. Lou City. Lou City, now the time. It's now the time for us to shine. Lou City. Here we go. The game that didn't start early, that made it us so squirrely. They flopped around and hit the ground just like Laverne and Shirley. They countered, it was sleazy. They scored a goal too easy. We're down by 1, this isn't fun, but we're just getting started, son. Lou City's now the time, it's now the time, it's now the time. Lou City. This is fun. I like this. Lou City's now the time, it's now the time for us to shine. Lou City. The first half was dragging on, was not feeling fine. Then somebody stepped on hoping, no, it's penalty time. Then Magnus placed the ball on the spot and began. He put the ball into the net and we was tied up again. Lou City's now the time, it's now the time for us to shine. Lou City. Swing 'em. Lou City, now the time to make it shine. Lou City. City. This is kind of funky. I like Juan. Juan comes up with some pretty good songs, I think. He's got he's hanging out in Havana. It's like they have a lot to do.
Yeah.
What are you doing in Havana? Do Havana things. Here we go.
Cigars?
When the second half began, it was more of the same. But then Coach Hack would sub 3 players that would win us the game. Max also stole a ball, and Big Luke made a pass. Then Cheaty Ford put it in, and we kicked Charleston's ass. The season's been so crazy, every game that we play. All the punks they done just missed us, we got something to say. We ain't lying, been some crying, cause it ain't been easy. But we'll be fighting till it's over, but just wait and see. Lou City's now the time, it's now the time to make it shine. Lou City. Lou City, it's now the time to make it shine. Lou City. Boy. You may think that it's over, but it's all in your mind. We like the beer and cheer so much that we may never go home. It's like that, y'all, cause we don't quit. Morato's still around, and this is it. It's kind of like an echo. It's kind of a bit of an echo to that. So that's where we're at. It was a rainy game, and we won.
Sloppy.
It was sloppy. It was very sloppy. I mean, first of all, how the hell do you run around on a field like that for 45 minutes?
Long cleats.
Long cleats. You got to be tired, though, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'd be exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Magnus looked exhausted.
Yeah.
They all looked exhausted. So anyway, our recap, we won. It's 9 points. By the way, since we started doing songs, I think we've won like 3 in a row.
Mhm.
So there you go. This is like a new luck charm.
Now we have to keep doing it.
Yeah, we have to keep doing it, kind of. Anyway, hope you liked it. Anyway, we're going to move on now to our first guest. I think he's ready. Jorge, you ready? He's like, I don't know. Jorge Pazmino. You've been here for I guess you've been here since the first year, right? I remember you came in for Capo Week.
I've been here since the beginning. Beginning of all times.
Now, then, forever.
I know that
There you go, yeah.
you hang out in several sections. You're a fixture. I don't know how would I put that.
I move around. I try not to stay still, just to kind of give everybody a chance to see me.
Well, and they do. It's kind of hard to miss. But I want to thank you for coming on. I mean,
No,
really
thank
do.
you for having me.
Because it's been one of the guys from the beginning. Like I said, I've been trying to get everybody on that has been a part of this from the beginning, and you're definitely one of those guys. And it's always a lot of fun to see you. What we usually do is ask a little bit about what you did before you went to your first LOUCITY game. I know it's kind of a long story, but family, where you grew up, kids, job, whatever.
So I'm originally from South America, Quito, Ecuador. And I moved to the U.S. in 1999 is when I arrived.
Okay.
I came to Louisville as an immigrant, as an international student to the University of Louisville.
Okay.
And I mean, that's like in a nutshell how I got here.
What did you major in?
It was business.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had to.
Was it business or was it like business?
It was.
Because that's what I did in college. I
Yeah.
majored in business. You know what I mean?
I actually had like a couple years of college before I actually had the opportunity to come as an international student. But yeah, it was just everything was different. The language was different. Even though I spoke the language, there's a lot of things that didn't make any sense.
Okay.
And slang especially got me.
What's up, bruh?
Yeah. And like the simple thing is, when English is your second language, you have to understand that the it's not just the translation of
Right.
it.
There's nuance.
It's like there's that. Yeah. Like I mean, there's so many things that I can bring up that I had to learn. Because learning the language in school,
Right.
they don't teach you that.
Right. It's kind of important skills.
Exactly.
Being able to speak. So you're over here. You go to school. I know you ended up in the military, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's when did that happen?
So I was as a student in at the University of Louisville, and I had an opportunity to join the Army.
Okay.
And my family is rich military history.
Okay.
Like my dad served in the Ecuadorian Army.
Wow. Okay.
My brother was in the Navy. So it wasn't like foreign to me.
Okay.
I was just here as a new, immigrant, and this country gave me a lot of opportunities. So after 9/11, it was one of those things like, it's time to give back. And I joined, and so, did some great things while I was serving for the U.S. Army, and got out and just continued.
How long were you in?
Altogether, about 8 years altogether.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like reserve time, active duty,
Sure.
deployments and all that. So.
Okay. So eventually, at some point, you met someone. Yes.
Yes.
When did that happen? How did that happen?
Well, my beautiful wife, Lauren, I think she's watching. She's probably not watching. But
She knows what you look like.
No one has seen his wife.
That's
my
right.
my
And I'll
wife.
say that
You
too.
keep saying that. My wife.
Yeah, no, she's been at some games,
Right.
like
I know I've met
very
her.
selective ones, but no, she tried to understand she understands my passion for the sport.
Sure. I'm gonna get
Because where I'm from is not a sport.
it's right.
The kids don't play the sport.
They live it.
They live it. They are born in the culture, and I mean that's all that everybody knows.
Okay.
you
Now
know.
let me get into that a little because I was definitely going to ask you about that. The culture of soccer worldwide is so much different than it is here.
Yes.
I understand we have to kind of grow into it. I think there's a couple of things that are going to limit us to have that as time goes on, because as I understand it, with my mom being from Spain and my father having lived in Italy and served in Italy, that it's got community-based sport, right? And it's been around for a while. Being around for a while is one thing, but there's plenty of sports that have been around for a while. I mean, What do you see as growing up as a young kid, and now then when you see people so connected to the sport in their soul?
Mhm.
Where do you think that comes from?
Well, when I left South America, I was 19 years old.
Right.
So I already experienced the sport growing up, understanding what it means to the people.
Right.
And when I left, that was one of the biggest pieces that I missed the most.
Right.
It was that connection to that passion.
Let me go back to that a little bit then. Let me ask you about the professional setup in your country.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Was there a Division I? Did they have multiple divisions?
Promotion and relegation is enforced, obviously. That's the system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting because when I left, and I do follow, the league over there,
Mm-hmm.
and remember some of the teams that I used to follow.
Right.
And there's some names that I like. Some of teams they are now in the A group.
Right.
That I like, never seen them before, never heard of them.
Okay.
But when I start looking online,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the club has been playing for like 80 years.
Okay.
So it was like founded in like 1950 something.
Right.
And it's just beautiful because they're all representing certain parts of the country,
Sure.
and that happens not just in Ecuador, but it happens in Colombia, in Brazil, in Argentina, So it's just that team that represent the people of a specific geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about, dude, it's just a lot different,
Right. And that's what I've been saying about the whole MLS thing. Even our league to a point now is that the teams, it's more of a regional based sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would never find a team in a country where the game is so important named Colorado. You know what I'm saying? Like that represents an entire state like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, does that make sense? Is that true?
No, because when you think about, in other cities in South America, you don't have a team that represents a geographic area.
Right,
it's just like
a community.
It's a community thing. So you can have in Serie A, which is the A, like the first tier or of the league, you may have teams that they're geographically distant, maybe 20 miles from each other.
Exactly.
So, it's like saying Middletown and Shepherdsville.
Right.
And when Shepherdsville makes it to the Serie A,
Right.
it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Because Middletown has been playing in the Serie A forever,
Right.
So all the people in that particular geographic area just gets behind that particular team, and the players, a lot of players, especially not in Serie A, B and like B minus or whatever,
Sure.
they don't play for money.
Right.
They play for their community.
Community, exactly.
So, it might be people that they have a job and they do this and they get paid like nothing, but they want to represent and want to push to get to that next tier of the pyramid. And that's what makes it beautiful, because there's nothing like that, not such as an achievement of we can make it there, with what we got. And I think here in the US, we kind of lose that. Sure. Because it's
more manufactured.
It's artificial.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
It absolutely is.
And that's why I love Louisville City. It's because it came from nothing. So it feels like it's ours.
Exactly.
It feels like it's ours. It wasn't just, manufactured. It was from the beginning, and you see how things just grow and get bigger, and the people just get behind it. And I do like the fact that a lot of people that support the team is not, oh man, if we want to have this sport here, it has to be Major League Soccer, because it's not about that. Like the sport itself, everywhere else is not about that.
Right.
It's about seeing my geographic area up wherever it's the top. Right. And if the top is being the championship of the USL, that's it. Like we made it, So just seeing people behind that, it's really beautiful to me, because it reminds me of where I'm from.
And then to go back to something, well, actually two things. The first thing you can go back about how the community is connected to their local club, and when the team has success or when it suffers, there's so much more of a connection to the community when the team does well because the team is the community is directly impacted.
Yeah.
As opposed to being a Giants fan. The last couple of years, the Giants have been crap. All right, but we're 5 games into the season next year, and we're already 1-4. It's like, we'll be back next year.
Yeah.
You don't have that overseas, and having loved the game myself since I was a little kid. Like my mom, like I said, she came over from Spain. She brought that with her. My father. The whole thing is that the connection is it's visceral. It's you can touch it. It's like a palpable connection. I don't get that from MLS teams. I'm sorry. I know you were a Columbus fan, and I'm not saying that Columbus fans don't love their team. It's just that the impact of losing. What is it? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I would never knock somebody that loves a team. It's just and I'm using my own. The Giants are my favorite sports team outside of Louisville. When they lose, it's like, it sucks, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. I think one of the things that we have differently here, and that I can relate to where I'm from, is that we built them from nothing. The owners created from nothing,
Exactly.
The supporters created from nothing. And now we have a stadium that is being built that will probably outlive some of us.
Absolutely.
So now we have a product. If I keep drinking like this, it won't have to live. Right. So, no, being for real, when I think about it is, that's exactly what the product is overseas, is the community builds it, and the community is so proud of it, and it will support it no matter what. And when you have that venue, now you have the venue that will outlive all these people that, probably us, and that thing will still be there. And that's why I love to connect with kids when they're in the matches, and I bring my own and everything, because that was me.
Yeah. We apologize. We're having connection issues tonight, but that's okay. We can use these videos and I'll link them up. So we were talking about
football was coming to Louisville.
Yeah, so football was coming to Louisville, and that's all I knew. I think the team created like a mailing list, like email list, get on the list, we'll send you updates or something. Well, anyways, I remember being at work and I signed up, send me the updates on when the team is coming to town or whatever. So I did come to the first match with a friend of mine that had tickets.
Oh.
So I didn't actually buy them. I was just, I'll go, just go check it out. And I remember being in the upper portion where people with money sits or whatever.
Right.
And I was looking down and I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of people here. And to me, I was watching football on TV, and I didn't know nobody else liked the sport.
Right.
So to me, it was shocking. So that was cool. And then I remember seeing the supporter section. And I said to myself, okay, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to live this here in Louisville, my new home, I got to be part of that group.
Right.
And that's when, next match I actually met.
I don't know what's going on.
So we're having some difficulties here. We have absolutely no idea why. We've never had a problem before. We'll just keep trying. We can link all these up. We load them up to YouTube anyway. So once again, we have Jorge Pazmino here. We're talking about the first game that you were at, and you met James. So eventually, you want to be a capo.
No. It didn't go that fast. No, at first, one thing that in South America is it's just normal that people when they go to matches they dress up. They put something on, colors on, or paint their face. Yeah, anything that you can do to just show the team that you support, other than buying the ticket and buying beer.
Right.
Whatever. So I recall, okay, the team's color is purple. Well, where am I going to get anything purple, right? So I went to Party City. And I went to that purple section, and I started looking, and the hair stood up. So I was like, okay, now how am I going to wear this in public? That's what I was thinking, Well, thank God for alcohol. So that's and then
Thank God for alcohol.
Yes, sir. So at first I put it on, and I was like, I look kind of dumb with it, so we got to put something else. And I got the glasses, and I put the glasses on.
Right.
And then, my outfit was just normal, jeans, whatever. And then that was it. You know, I started just being myself at the matches. At first, I was by myself. You know, just in the back, jumping and acting crazy. And what really just hit it home for me was people was as crazy as me.
Yeah.
And to me, that was really refreshing because you don't see that here. You know,
There's plenty of that.
So yeah, man. And then just fast forward, and I contacted the Coopers, and I said, hey, like, what do you need to do to like be up front? And they're like, well, you just have to do it. And I said, well, I don't know anything. Like,
Right.
And you know, they were very open. Like Ken was very open, Alex was very open.
Right.
Yeah, that was terrifying at the beginning. Yeah, and you know, you think about being with a mohawk and glasses, doing that. But needless to say, you know, God bless alcohol, man. 'Cause that just
Liquid courage.
No, like for real, it's fun.
Right.
It's fun.
Well, and the thing is that now you seem like somebody that's fairly extroverted in life. I mean, you don't seem like an introvert. You don't seem like somebody that.
Well, I would disagree. I'm actually very reserved.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, the nature of my job is very reserved, very like professional, and
Sure.
you know, I do like to when I like somebody or a group of people, I'm more open.
Okay.
But any other time, I'm pretty.
So that must have been very terrifying. Then, that first time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and now you're thinking about, you know, I'm ESL, like English is my second language, and I'm in front of like 1,000 people sometimes, you know, and it's like trying to do this, and I'm like, can they hear my accent? You know, so it's fun.
So now talk to me a little bit about cheers and stuff like that. When we're doing stuff like this, I know, like I said, I've always enjoyed watching you do this because you are very passionate about making sure that you're communicating with the crowd. And do you think there's how am I going to say? What else can we do going into the new stadium? Do you think that could make it better? That could what would you suggest that we do instrument wise, cheer wise, anything? I mean, or is everything fine? I mean, you know, that's more of a
well, you know, there's that saying that says, you know, if it is not broke, don't change it. Or
sure,
whatever.
sure.
I think it's working. I don't think I would change anything,
Right.
But definitely some upgrades or additions will work. Now, when it comes to like
zip lines, Glenn Grump's like zip lines.
Someone make this happen.
No, I mean,
Zip lines would be quite awesome, actually.
Like for real, like I would love to see some sort of either an audio repeater for the capos. So let me elaborate.
Okay. Sure.
So I don't want to take away the actual you know, the actual setup that we have
Right.
with the megaphone, because I think that's just the staple of what we do.
Okay.
But I do think that we need to attach a microphone to it, and then that wirelessly somehow with the technology or whatever will go to a speaker in the back.
Right, and we've been
So
talking
it'll
about
be very clear in the back.
We've been talking about the possibility of having not a massive sound system, but a couple speakers set up.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe even I know Glenn was on last week. We talked about that, or 2 weeks ago. Actually having a microphone, because first of all, the clarity. One of the things that I've always heard people say is that they want to join in the cheers, but they struggle understanding some of the words. And there's not much you can do with a megaphone. The speaker is literally that big. I mean, it's not very big at all. I mean, you can almost some of your phones have stronger. You know,
yeah, that's true.
As far as clarity is concerned. So that's one of the ideas. But I'm assuming in the new stadium, there's going to be a pretty good sound system. I know you're not going to build a brand new stadium and have like a crappy sound system.
Brand's been touting the sound system, so it should be.
Did you say Brad?
Yeah.
Brad Estes.
Oh, yep.
Oh my.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you know what?
Brad,
Wait a second. While you're saying that, go ahead.
Go ahead. And I want to take a moment
Go ahead.
To really say thank you, Joe, and, you know, Matt and Derrick, for everything that you guys do, because what happens organically is what makes this sport and this team different.
Right.
You know, so definitely, guys, I mean, thank you for what you do.
Oh,
and I watch the podcast every time, and
Okay.
you're always drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
And which is fine because it's called bourbon balls and whatever. So
Bourbon balls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bourbon Balls.
so, but I was like, maybe they don't have anything else. So I figured,
Okay.
I wanted to bring something from South America.
Sure,
for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
Hey.
I got this set, and if the camera can see it, it's from Peru.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And it's actually sugar cane liquor.
Nice.
All right. They're different, like I guess you can say variations of it. So you have quebranta, torontel, acholado, vino rosé, vino perfecto, amor torontel, and we're gonna try them today by saying Brad Estes, if everybody's okay with
That's. I'm
I'm
going to ask you if you could do this, you could co-host for like the next 3 years.
Yeah.
All right, so
Let's
I
do
know
it.
we were supposed to like cheer or whatever. We gotta pick one. So which one?
I'm going to go with rosé.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Well, that's the winner. Chicken dinner. So, all right. So I got 3 shot glasses. Can we get another glass for?
Yeah.
Because I'm not skipping.
I've got 2 right
While
there.
we're doing that, and I guess everybody else can join in.
I can feel my liver.
Everybody else
just-
can have some too. Let me ask you a little bit about. Before we do this.
Do you have any more chocolate?
yeah, right next to the
We don't
fridge.
need. We don't need to.
Right next to the fridge.
This
up
is
top.
what happens when you come here live to hang
top.
out. You get
In
booze.
there. In the cabinet, yeah.
Once again, folks, we've been having a little bit of technical problems, although I think we're cleared up right now. We're doing pretty good. It had something to do with the browser. We really apologize for that. And we want to thank you for joining in with us. Jorge Pazmino, who was kind enough to bring us some booze, he's now doling out the
We need
booze.
one more.
Ooh.
Right.
All right.
Are we good?
You
in?
got one? No, you okay?
Okay.
Oh.
All right, so we're going to try out. This is rosé.
I get 2. Okay. No, this is vino rosé.
Vino rosé.
So the other day I was hanging out outside and I saw Brad Estes drive by.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Salud.
Oh, that's freaking good.
Oh, I can have that all day.
Right.
Now notice.
Wow.
Notice that.
Lisa, you sure you don't know?
What does it taste like? It tastes like wine.
There's
right?
one
It's
here.
like wine.
It's
Yeah.
not.
This is really good.
Okay, so
It
definitely.
tastes like pie, but it's
Oh
not.
man.
Yeah.
It's 130.
We didn't mean to interrupt the show to talk about this, but we're going to.
Is it really?
This one is already.
No.
Oh my
I
god.
mean,
You get your eyes.
Yeah, we got 4 more of this, so.
That's really good.
You got 4 more to go. Stand in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, our co-host for forever, Jorge Pazmino.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you some stuff about. We talk about community outreach. I don't want to. It's not really a serious question. I mean, obviously, reaching out to other people in the community is very important, and making sure that we do that. And I think that this iteration of ownership over the last year and a half has done a good job of that.
Yeah.
How do we do that better? I'm talking about supporters. I'm talking about the supporter community, because there's been a real uptick. I mean, Lisa's going to be on later. I know that she's been helping out the LOUCITY ladies. There's other people that have been working with adding more towards fundraising. Fundraising is a good thing. I mean, fundraising, and we'll be talking about that next week too. But it's not just fundraising. I mean, you don't have to reach out to the community just by saying, "Hey, we want to help. We need help raising money." I mean, that's one way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think whatever involves the people works.
Mhm.
So continue doing that. That's definitely key to bring awareness to the team
Right.
and just keep growing the fan base.
Sure.
Finding causes that mean anything to anybody, that's great. Like, I mean, we've done different things: veterans, disabilities,
Right.
Planting trees. I think we did one time. Just keep reaching out to all these groups, because that's how you bring people to their games that don't know what Louisville City is about. I'm pretty sure that we are. I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about everybody. 'Cause
Sure.
To me, it's the community.
Absolutely.
The more people you involved, it's just it's what is going to keep the team here. Plus, we get a stadium, so I don't think we're going to go anywhere.
But I'll hear that.
Yeah.
Unless we switch over to rugby or something.
Correct.
Professional rugby.
Which I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with, but
I would really enjoy that.
Yeah, that would be kind of.
Or we could do outdoor ice hockey.
and well, they have you can make those rinks. You can put rinks out there.
You feel it?
That is pretty good, man. I really do like this.
I shouldn't drink any more of that.
But
But you're gonna.
That's
so
So remember, it tasted like wine.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Wow.
so. All right. So before I ask you this, I personally want to thank you as well for a lot of things. First of all, for the passion that you bring to these games is, I think it's unmatched. Not that the other guys and gals are doing bad. I'm not. I don't want to make it a contest. It's not a contest. But when I say unmatched, it's different. You have your own style that I really, really appreciate when you get out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And it means a lot to me when you get up there. I'm thankful for helping me out with a couple of these things, because Vamos Morados without you doesn't happen, because I sent you the words. I mean, and I was like,
I remember that.
and I'm like, dude, can you help me with this?
I know.
And he's like, no. This is the way it should be.
Yeah, that one chant that we have, I think, is
I
probably
love
the
that.
pinnacle of what I ever dreamed. Like I never really dreamed that we will have a chant in Spanish. Like
Right.
not at all. So having it is pretty cool. And I find this opportunity to also kind of link up with you and start thinking that next
Not
one.
more. Absolutely.
And it will be a spin-off on something that already happened in South America.
Okay.
So we'll talk offline a little bit about
Sure,
it. And
sure.
it's actually easier than what we do, so it shouldn't be that much, but we
Right.
need to incorporate some drums and
Sure.
things like that.
Sure.
But for the people that is watching, I mean, just, keep showing up. I do what I do because I love what I do,
Mhm.
and not because, nobody is making me. It's just I show up and I do my thing because I just love to be sore in no voice the next day and, hungover. So,
Your
no.
podcast.
Right.
I did skip over something I want to ask you, because you've been watching this game since you were a kid, and it's kind of hard. I know you have we all have an affinity towards this team, so it's kind of hard to be objective. First of all, compare to the quality of USL over the last 5 years.
Mhm.
Do you watch MLS at all?
Some matches, and I never before.
Okay.
Just when James O'Connor took over.
Okay.
Orlando City is when I actually started watching.
Okay, so the first
But
thing.
before, nothing.
First of all, compare USL, what you saw, your understanding of the game and its growth, the team quality over the last 5 years.
I think definitely there's been a lot of growth. I mean, it's been phenomenal, and that's the reason why we won championships.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity. I know that with the new stadium, we'll also get new opportunities for players. Everybody was going to want to be there, and John Hackworth is a great coach. I think we have a perfect storm to do more great things.
Right.
The level of play.
First of all, compare the level of play from you're a younger guy and you're watching at home. Compare what you see now to what that is, what you experience. And if there's a big disparity, there is. I'm just curious.
Yeah, the main difference is when there's pro rail,
Right.
You're going to have that Serie A team, the MLS team, right?
That fights.
And then you get this newly promoted team,
Right.
that is driven by nothing but passion.
Yeah.
There's no big names on the squad. There's no they're talented, but there's just people just wanting this really bad, So when you put those together,
Yeah.
there's magic, baby.
Yeah.
And that's a shame that we cannot see that here because the way things are, but maybe one day.
You never know.
I think it's 2,135 when we will see it, I think.
we'll still be here. You'll still be capo.
I saw that tweet about that German team that took 113 years to come back to Serie A in Germany.
Right,
So,
Berlin, right?
I don't know what's the name of the
No.
team.
It wasn't Berlin.
It was a team in
It wasn't
Germany
Berlin.
that it's been 100-something years before they
Right.
they were not playing in the top level. So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Pro rail just brings a different thing,
Right.
and hopefully we get to see it one day.
And we let everybody, if there's anything, you have an open mic. Say anything you want about anything. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is there
Well,
anything?
no, man. Thank you so much. Are we going to say about Estes again? Or?
Sure.
Yep.
You just did. He just did.
Okay, we gotta pick another one though.
Okay. Let me finish this one.
I did want to throw in one question.
Yes,
of
sir.
course, you are one of the founders of the podcast Luchador, the Spanish language
Yes.
podcast. How can people listen to that?
Oh my gosh. Well, Los Morados account in Twitter. We publish the podcast episode every time when we get a chance. I have a busy life, so it's kind of hard to link up with people.
Right.
And About a month. It's been a few months since I was like super pumped, and I was bringing people from the media.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
What you guys are doing here, if you're watching, say thank you to these guys because it does not. I mean, it takes a lot. And I mean, I see the setup, and I'm like, wow.
This is a well-oiled machine.
This is like a part-time job you guys are doing here. You know what I'm saying?
And we have plans for more, which is pretty cool.
It's funny. I think we should do a time lapse when we set up because everybody comes in the apartment. We all do our own thing. Like I'm in here cleaning, and these guys are running cables, and we get the show set up in like under 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then everybody starts showing up. It's like a big.
What are we imbibing before we?
Okay, you guys are just looking me more. This is Pisco Torontel.
Pisco Torontel.
I'm gonna nurse this one.
All right.
No, let me see if you like it, man. James, are you okay over there, man?
All right. Oh, why not?
All right, who wants more? Because we got 3 more bottles.
Let's get the upcoming guest.
Brad Estes to say. So.
Let's get the.
You just said my name. Wait, we're behind.
All right. So this is going to be for
Brad Estes.
For Brad Estes.
Brad Estes.
Yes, I will.
All right. Well, that's got a little bit more of a.
That's a little more kick.
I'm nursing that.
That is more traditional.
All right,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Jorge.
Thanks for
Jorge
coming over.
Pazmino.
Jorge.
Appreciate it, pal. I think because we had a couple of delays, I think we better move right along. So, Shauna, we'll try and reach out a little bit if we catch up, but we're going to move right along to our next guest. Lisa, come on up. Lisa Hines is a supporter of the team, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you because we've gotten to know each other over the last year or so.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not a capo, any of that stuff.
I'm not even a member of Cooper's.
You're not even a member of the Coopers, which is fine because one of the things we want to start doing is talking about doing dual. I mean, that's what's dual podcast, but more about the supporter community in general, not just about like one specific group or anything like that. So thanks for coming around.
Yeah.
I know it was last. We're going to ask you anyway, but I figured.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure. So, like everybody else, please tell it before you went to your first LOUCITY game. Tell us about who you are, where you come from, all that.
So I'm from Louisville.
Okay.
I'm a nurse.
Okay. You're good. That's good to have nurses at games. Matter of fact, let's get you to sit a little closer.
It really is. I've had to render aid before.
Okay.
Some kids that get hurt. So
Okay.
yeah, I definitely always have a Band-Aid in my purse. So if anybody ever needs one, I've always
So if I
got
ever
one.
need a Band-Aid for my liver,
Yeah.
I know what it's on to. Okay, so you're from Louisville?
So I'm from Louisville. I've lived here most of my life.
Okay.
I've always lived in Kentucky.
Right.
This is a nice little tidbit. I was divorced 3 years ago.
Okay.
And in my divorce, the actual divorce papers say that I got the Louisville City tickets and all rights to them.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad. I'm not glad you got. I want to say I'm glad you got divorced.
No, I am.
But well, there you go. I'm very glad you got divorced.
So I played soccer when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
Okay. And I was on an all boys team
Okay.
because there was no girls teams
Right.
in 1980 something.
Right. I see. 19 nerd.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you.
So I played on an all boys team and I took a header to the face once, broke my nose right there. Can you see it still?
No.
Right there?
No.
Yeah, it's there, right to the face.
Ow.
Right to the face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I headed it, and the guy that I sent it to scored.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's literally. You're not Brad Estes, but I'm toasted to that. I'm toasted to that. I think Brad just got ousted. I don't know. Okay.
So my mom is a big soccer fan.
Okay.
Huge. Yeah, she goes to the soccer games with me. She is loud. She's like 4'11".
Okay.
She's feisty and fierce, and she will get on Coach about if he does something. And don't let Niall McCabe get hurt.
Oh,
or-
she's
She's Irish.
I think that's all of us. Oh, that makes. You know something? You touched on something, Jorge. I was going to ask you about this too. When I grew up, I had the Cosmos, right? And the Cosmos were made up of players from all different countries. That was their thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had Pele, you had Stevie Hunt, you had a bunch of guys. My mom is Spanish. My dad's Italian. Jorge, we had a Giorgio Canaglia was the striker, and my mom had an affinity for any of the Hispanic players or any of the Latino players. I'm telling you, they would argue over, Giorgio Canaglia or like Juan Carlos Alberto. and this is how you're talking about how leading to how being Irish and defending Niall. I mean that is a part of it, man. That is definitely a part of it. The cultural thing mattered.
So how come your mom was such a big soccer fan? Not to interrupt.
My mom was from Spain. She was born
Not
there.
her.
Oh, her mom.
It's about you.
I thought you were talking. You're looking at me. Like, who are you looking at?
It's a one line of faces.
We haven't even introduced you yet.
So I have three younger brothers, and they all played soccer.
Oh, okay.
So my mom is the original soccer mom from back in
Oh my
the
gosh.
70s.
Did she have a van? She had one of those vans.
No, no, we had a station wagon. Yeah.
Station wagon. There you go. That's right. The 80s. Okay. So you go. Did you go to the St. Louis game? The first game?
I did. I've been to just about every game ever.
Tell us about that first experience with the St. Louis game. Besides
Wow.
it was really cold.
It was really cold. It was really cold, and the setup was so strange, but it was so interesting to see how the baseball mound went down.
Right,
And they set
right.
it up. I mean, I was like, how are we going to do this?
Right,
How is this going to happen at Slugger Field?
And
What?
they paid for it, right? Didn't our owners?
Wayne
Yeah,
invented it.
Wayne invented it.
Oh, yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, how's this going to work? How's the setup going to be? And it
Right.
was just the sound. So I sit on midfield. I sit at midfield.
Right.
Okay. And basically between right and first base.
Okay.
I'm in third row.
Mhm.
So I see you all with all the signs and craziness. And I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
And it's so much energy in that it's palpable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just feel it. When you just walk in, you just know this is something special.
Right. And that's the thing we keep talking about is that when we get in that stadium, and it's going to be so much more intimate.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that first game, which you're assuming is going to get sold out, I wouldn't doubt it's not.
There's no way it
Yeah,
will.
there's no way you're gonna get a seat in here.
It's going to be crazy, right? All right, so you got the first game. You see how crazy it is. Obviously, a lot of us didn't anticipate. I'm assuming you didn't as well. You didn't expect it to be that intense, right? Or did you? Did you think?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really have any
Any
expectations. I knew that I loved it
Right.
and that the people that I was going with loved soccer.
Okay.
So I was excited about that. But I love it because it's such a family atmosphere.
Right.
And there's a party going on, but your kids can be over here in this area.
Well, you know,
And I mean, it's just everybody can come. And I've never met anyone that hasn't been to a game that didn't love it.
right, and you just touched on something that's really important. Is that it's not cookie cutter in the sense of where supporters are supposed to sit and what they're supposed to do. There's different experiences for what you want. I mean, if you're looking for the loud thing, you do the Coopers thing. If you're looking for part loud and part someplace to hang out, you go do the Scouts thing. Now you still have those seats in that section.
Yeah,
You still do?
yeah.
So,
I've moved down a couple of
you moved down a
rows.
couple rows?
Yeah, because I retained all the rights to the
Oh, okay,
seats.
you're reminding us that you got the tickets. That's very important.
I got the tickets, Joe.
That's awesome. So now, the first time I really hung out with you was at the Christmas party last year.
Yeah.
Tell me about the experience over the last 4 or 5 years of meeting people through the Louisville City thing and what it's done, how that's impacted your life in general.
So everyone is so welcoming. I haven't met anyone that's a jerk.
Right.
I mean, I know they're out there, but I haven't met any. And everyone loves soccer. I mean, I don't take people to games that don't understand the game.
Mhm.
Because I want to watch, and I'm short, so I have to be in the front. I can't sit in the back because I can't see. So I'd like to be right, in my little row. And lost my train of thought completely because I was so excited.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, the Christmas party.
Christmas party.
Oh,
So
the people.
everyone I've met, there's, different backgrounds. I have friends that are from different countries now that I've never even heard of before.
Mhm.
And we all love soccer.
Right.
I mean, every profession. I know some owners that are on the team. I know some people on the team. I know, just the fans, just everybody loves it.
Yeah, and then there's the point. I mean, the amount of people that I've met here, everybody in this room, obviously, but the diversity of who we are in many different aspects. I mean, you're talking about Jorge from South America. James, you're originally from Boston,
That's right.
right? And me being from New Jersey, and it just everybody from all different parts of the country. I mean, it really has been a lot of fun. That part of it to me has been the most fun. I mean, it's good that we win games.
Well, yeah.
But we can't control whether they win or lose, other than scream as loud as we can. But the aspect of meeting people and hanging out with them has become cool. I mean, I'm assuming, tell me about the LOUCITY ladies thing. You're a part of that.
Yeah. So
let's
LOUCITY
get into
ladies. So we're not an auxiliary group or anything like that. We're
Right.
just a bunch of ladies that love soccer.
Mhm.
Have you all gotten our shirts? We have
I've
shirts.
seen the shirts. I've seen the shirts. I
You've
don't
seen
have
our
one.
shirts? They're awesome.
Mhm.
I know somebody that was involved in designing that logo. For the shirt.
Yeah. Somebody maybe at this table.
Would that be you?
Yeah.
Did you? Well, you did a good job.
Tell
Little
them about it. Tell
Yeah,
them.
tell
I don't
us
have
about
a
the shirts.
Yeah. tell them.
That is the outline of Alex Morgan when she did the cheers,
Yes, I know.
cheers,
It's
mate,
the
cheers,
cheer-
mate.
Right,
Took it.
which is the greatest celebration I've ever seen. That's literally the greatest troll I have ever seen. That was
So
great.
that's our logo.
Okay.
'Cause
I
that's
had to
what we
outline
are.
the beautiful Alex Morgan. I just sat there and outlined her. It was great.
Scouts gets really mad if you do that, Adam.
Right.
We should do that in the next toast.
Yeah, was that we should get
You're like
shirts.
the jerks. Like, I've never met any jerks. You guys like that. We should do it more.
Get an
I am
outline.
at the table of jokes. I found them.
So you volunteered that area for the Christmas party last year. I know for the people
we're doing
that
it again
didn't-
this year.
Cool.
Same place.
And tell everybody. I mean, you were there. I mean, how much fun that was hanging out at an event with people that do the LOUCITY thing.
The party, it was a potluck. Had drinks. We had karaoke. We had Jennifer had the games going on for the kids.
Right.
We had the crazy sweater contest.
Yeah, that was fun.
I love the sweater
I
contest.
know, you did. You had a good sweater.
It's my favorite thing.
And it was just so nice walking around because, I was kind of like the semi-hostess of the party because it was my place.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, but Michelle, basically.
Right.
Michelle Wilkinson. It's the only person I knew in the room.
Right.
So, I'm like, hi, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And everybody was,
It was well attended too.
it was really good. It was a lot of fun too. And
Beautiful
then
room.
we had, it is. We had the crazy gift exchange too,
Right.
which was hilarious.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it was just nice meeting everyone and mingling, and really wasn't about soccer.
Right. There was. I don't remember. I don't think we talked. I don't remember talking about soccer all night. Did you?
I
didn't.
don't think so.
I was.
I don't really think that we
Some
did.
of the
Check out
last
what the-
songs we did in karaoke were a little soccer oriented.
That's true.
About
That's
it.
true.
Oh yeah, for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You get us together for 2 or 3 hours.
You're right.
It's going to turn into soccer.
It's a very
It's definitely going to turn into soccer.
it's an incline.
Okay, so we're going into the new stadium. I'm assuming that you've got your tickets already?
Yes, I've got my tickets.
And you have to worry about getting divorced from anybody or have a fight over them. So that's
No,
kinda
my
good.
mom is going to sit with me.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You can't divorce your mom. I've tried mine. I've tried divorcing my mom a couple times. It doesn't. I love her to death, but I'm not on.
But my mom is very particular what games she'll go to.
Okay.
So it can't, and I sit in the sun now.
Mhm.
So it can't be too hot, too cold, windy, raining, storming, hailing. It has to be perfect weather.
So like half of this season. She
So what you're
yeah.
saying is that she's getting a box eventually.
Anne will be very happy this year where she's sitting.
She's gonna want those 3-game package tickets.
Right.
My brother goes to the rest of the games with me because he doesn't care about the weather.
Okay.
He's a hardcore soccer fan.
Cool. And in going into the new stadium, let me back up a little bit. When you don't sit in any of the sections that do any of the supporter stuff, what do you hear from other people sitting around you? Do they say anything about that, whether they like it, whether they don't like it? Like I had one woman one time telling me that she doesn't come to games anymore because of the drums. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you because we're not going to stop playing drums. However, I'm going to say this, and I will say this. If we're in the stadium and the acoustics are so insane that 8 drums are too loud for the entire stadium,
You shouldn't.
we're gonna have to talk about that. I mean, we're going to. Look, I'm not going to be part of a reason why a bunch of people don't come to games. I mean, that's just not going to happen. But I'm wondering, and that may be an extreme example, but the point is that I'm wondering how the people around you, I'm assuming other than, I may have met your brother once, I think,
Yeah.
how they feel about that. Do they engage in it? Do they look at it and go, wow, it's fun? Or do the kids
Yeah,
go,
I mean, when the smoke bombs go off and the chants start, we're over there, keeping up the best we can and
Right.
cheering. We can't always hear because I'm really excited about the sound system in the new stadium and
Right.
hearing it because where I am, the first time Luke scored,
Mhm.
and it was Luke.
Yeah.
Where I sit, it sounds like boo. So he's from Cincinnati, and I thought everybody was mad at him
Right.
because we're like, oh gosh, our new striker, everyone hates him. And then we realized, oh, when you're over on that side, it's clear.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to learning more of the chants and learning more of the songs and things like that, and doing them in my area because we do 502 and LOUCITY. Here we go.
That's what I was wondering. Do the people around you naturally just sort of try to join in and they can't, or do they not want to? I mean,
no, they love it. They love it.
Okay.
They absolutely love it.
We need giant flashcards.
You know what?
Have a little bouncing ball on the screen.
I'm such a soccer nerd. One of the first games I got on and downloaded all the songs and print them off.
Nice. Hey.
It's good though.
And you know what? They stayed in my purse.
That's
because
dedication.
Yeah.
They stayed in my purse because I'm like, I'm too busy watching soccer to worry about what's going on. So, I mean, we need a capo in our area.
Okay.
I mean, we do.
Well, I don't know. Hey, what do you think?
Just raise your hand. I'll be right
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's something I've always thought about. I mean, the one thing I always go back to is a championship game. When we started doing the drums, the very, very first thing, the dong, 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 dong. And I had never heard the entire audience do that with us. But you look down and all on both sides, they were saying "City" with us because of the acoustics.
Because we can hear.
We can hear
when
it.
you say. That's why we do like 502. We can hear that.
Right.
We can hear this. When you do "City," LOUCITY, here we go. We can hear that. But when you get into like the specific soccer player chants, we're lost.
Yeah, okay.
We don't know what's going on. We're just like, oh look,
Right.
yeah, something's going on.
Dude, tear it down. Okay. New stadium, LOUCITY ladies, NWSL. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, August 30th at the tailgate, LOUCITY ladies are doing a raffle.
Okay.
No cost to the raffle.
All right.
It's all NWSL
Some gear. I think I saw that.
Yes, but you have to wear an NWSL shirt or jersey or have something on your person so that you can get into the raffle.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I don't have anything personally of. Like I've told people.
Right, get something.
Now,
You got a week.
So what I think should
And a
happen.
half.
Barrel Proof adopted Sky Blue. That's back in Jersey, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Sky Blue does play Rutgers.
There you
They
go.
play Rutgers, which is
It's
kind of
over
New
there
Jersey. There's New Jersey, then there's Rutgers.
Okay.
Sorry, but anyway, what do you think? Are you going to do something different from a seating perspective? See, what I'm doing is I'm getting seats where you are for the women's game. I want to see how the other half lives. I mean, it's a lot of drumming, and I may play a little bit, but I want to sit. I want to be in the middle of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do you think it might be a good idea for people who normally sit in other sections to come join the supporters?
Heck yeah! I mean, we need another layer. I think that I'm gonna use a reference to a team I don't care for.
Okay.
University of Louisville basketball.
Okay.
Men's basketball.
You're not a Cardinal.
I'm not. I'm a Kentucky
You're
fan.
a Kentucky. What are they? Kentucky Wildcats.
I'm a Wildcat.
Wildcats.
Yeah. So,
Some team over there.
but the men's tickets are expensive.
Okay.
You've had to have, founded the Yum Center sometimes to get the seats down.
I've only been to one
Okay.
game, yeah.
Women's games, I have so many friends that take their kids to these games.
Okay.
They're cheaper. It's more family friendly. They
Mm-hmm.
do more family oriented things.
Okay.
Or activities at the games. And I think there's definitely, and their games are in the afternoons.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Usually on the Sunday afternoons, I think,
Mhm.
that they have women's games.
Yeah, I'm college basketball to me in general. I try to follow it. I mean, it's not that I don't like it. I do like it. It's just that I
Don't give a shit.
growing up. Right, growing up in Boston, how much?
It's just like because it's not part of the culture growing up. You have
Right.
professional
Well,
sports
what
that
you-
you watch, and that's like those
Exactly.
are the
Yeah.
teams you
So I mean, I've gone to, and I like it. I enjoy it. I had season tickets when I got out of judging. I had season tickets for Louisville football, and it was fun. It was fun, but it's different. I mean, so I think what you just did, you just volunteered to have the host of Beats, Balls, and Bourbons be your date for a women's basketball game.
Let's do it.
I think you just did that.
Yeah.
That
Let's
would be
do
kind of
it.
fun. I think I'm definitely into that.
The games look so much fun.
Yeah.
And the women here, the Louisville Women basketball.
Mhm.
They've gone to the Final Four like how many times?
Right,
They're better than the men.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, oh, anyway, so now we've got the women's team coming in. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sorry. I think that's a done deal. I think that's a done deal. I don't see how you don't do that. And I'm looking forward to it.
We've got this stadium. We can't have 19 games a year and do nothing with it. I mean, there's got to be something else that goes in there. So yeah, this is great. And then power soccer.
Right, which is gonna be cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is.
That's so cool. My first job as a nurse worked in rehab.
Okay.
So we had murder ball, where they do the basketball.
Murder ball?
Yeah.
You're a nurse and you're playing?
No. I was a fan. I was too scared to get out
I'm trying to
there.
reconcile.
No, it's wheelchair basketball.
Yes. Okay. I
So
got you.
it's but it's called murder ball because those guys are serious about it.
Yeah.
So the power soccer is right up my alley. I
So
love it.
yeah, they're doing that this Saturday. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, 7 around noon, I think.
Is it 11:30? I think I heard a date. Did you hear a time of 11:30? Roughly. I mean, it'll be earlier in the day if you just watch for the communications.
Yeah.
I can't because I
Do what we do, show up 7 hours before the game and get hammered.
Right. Okay, so like we do with everybody, if you have an open mic, talk about the team, something that you're passionate about with it, anything you want to talk about. Go ahead.
Gosh.
Or you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there something that you'd like to see happen in the future with the team? Are there any amenities? Are there things that that you'd like to see happen in the future with the supporters? Anything?
So what I want to see is I definitely want more tours of the stadium before it opens.
Okay.
Mhm.
I want to put my hard hat on and my boots on and go in and see where I'm going to sit. I drive by all the time.
Right.
And I'm like, where's my seat? I want to see it. I want to see where the sun is. I wasn't concerned about that at all. And then everybody's like, oh, we got to stay out of the sun, And I'm like, oh, gosh, I was going to get seats right in the sun at midfield. And then I'm like,
It's going to be different.
no, I'm going to get on the other side.
It's going to be different, the whole alignment as far as the sun is concerned. Because right now, I think I told you guys, I was in the section at Scouts, not the last game, but the game before, the one was like 180 degrees.
Mhm.
And they were in the sun the entire time.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's insane. I think the whole thing's twisted a little bit as far as the angle.
Mhm.
I think so. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's good. It's going to be. I'm excited about that. And what Jorge said, just getting more people there.
More liquor.
No one said Brad
More
Evans.
liquor.
It's so
Oh,
kind.
yeah.
There you go. There you go. Jorge Pazmino, executive director of the show now.
But just reaching more fans that, whether they're from a different culture and that they've grown up with soccer.
Right.
I mean, I grew up with soccer, but not like you did.
Right.
I mean, that was part of your culture.
Right.
And it was what you did. And it was, like you said, the Giants lose, they lose. But if your team loses, oh, it hurts.
Right. It's all different.
I have every year when the Premier League ends, I go into a depression. I call it my Premier League depression.
That's okay. About 12 weeks into the season, I'm usually into a depression. Although I think Everton's going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
But usually about 6 weeks in, I'm like, here we go. He's eighth place again. But anyway, man, I'm thankful for coming on.
Thank you for
and at
having
short
me,
notice,
guys.
like I said, it's we want to do a lot more of this, and hopefully we can have you on again. It's been crazy as far as watching everybody sort of come together in this whole deal, and I'm looking forward to getting more people hooked up. And if you like to play drums, you're always welcome. How's that?
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having me. Thanks,
Ladies and
Derrick.
gentlemen, Lisa Hines, kind enough to come in here and talk a little bit about her experience being a supporter of the team. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's a lot of fun.
It is.
It is. I mean, I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to the women's team because it's going to be
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be such a new experience. First of all, it'll be the first. I mean, we're saying it like it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I think so. It's too good an idea not to make it happen.
It's going to be the first
I don't have
Division
any
I
doubts.
team they've had here, going back to the Kentucky Colonels in the
Yeah, in the
ABA.
ABA.
That's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And we only get the opportunity with the Louisville City soccer team to play Division I teams in the U.S. Open. So I mean,
Mhm.
anyway, that's
I mean, we get to beat up on the Revolution during the preseason.
which is fun. Actually, during the preseason and the U.S. Open. And I'm thinking with the new stadium next year, I'm telling you, the talent that's going to come into this place, I think it's going to be straight up. I think it's going to be straight up great,
Yeah.
regardless of the level, because you're not going to want to play anywhere. Are you going to want to play in Charleston in the swamp? You know, if the battery.
A lot of these guys are going to come here not just for the stadium, but because of the exposure that the stadium's going to get. They're going to increase their own exposure.
Exactly.
So it's like I'm really excited to see who gets pulled in here and who shows up saying, "Hey, I want to play there," instead of us recruiting them.
Right. So
our tryouts might be really awesome.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What if they do it on the field? So anyway, folks, if you've been following, James, you're a wrestling fan.
Oh, we were going to include James in the.
Do you not know, like,
I'm sorry.
thing?
You should join in. Have a seat over here.
Yep.
I didn't invite myself to this segment, so I.
But you're one of the heretics. You get to do that.
We're not interviewing you yet, so
you
you
get
sit
to
there.
invite, you get to invite yourself whenever you want, however you want.
I mean, I've just been heckling from the sidelines.
Anyway,
If
you would watch the first 4 shows, you would see that we had done a little bit of a skit where we took 3 players or 3 members of the administration, and we associated them with a wrestler, and we would have a triple threat match, and we would one of the wrestlers would advance. So we now have a final 4, and today is going to be the final 4. I call it our super duper death match. It means nothing. Okay, it means absolutely nothing.
Apparently, a fatal
slam.
Super duper death match. I can do that. But so anyway, we want to recap the people that are going to be competing in this contest. Okay, we have Magnus Rasmussen, who's being represented by the Hitman Bret Hart.
Yep.
Right, and then we have Finn Balor. Right?
Balor.
Let's do that because I'm a Valor. And he's going to be representing
Mr. Niall McCabe.
Niall McCabe.
The Irishman.
The Irishman, yes. And then we have keeper Dobro, right?
Mr. Dobro is being represented by Cody.
By Cody Rhodes. And then
Talent right there, man.
you know,
That's a.
and who am I missing? I left my
Scotty G is being represented by Kane.
By Kane. So you have Kane, Cody Rhodes, Finn Balor, and Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the rules. This is what's going to happen. We have no idea what the scripting is on this, but I want these 4 guys. Now, these 4 guys are going to, or 3 guys are going to come up with a scenario of how that match would go. But I'm going to kick in a couple of surprises.
Me too.
Okay, so
Help.
So what you have to incorporate. The rules are that you have to incorporate the surprise. You can't just blow them off. Okay. So we're about to begin the match. I wish I had music. You know what I'm going to do?
I hope I don't.
You're going to knock a bottle over. What
You do this
do. All right.
every other show, Joe. You knock some liquor over, man.
I'll tell you what. What do you think? Give us a little bit of while I'm doing this. Give us a little background on if you were calling this match. What would you say?
This is. I would consider this a pay-per-view.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It's good.
So we're running into probably one of the big 4 pay-per-views for this kind of an event. We're talking about
Seems like a SummerSlam.
I was gonna say,
kind of
this seems like a SummerSlam thing. Yeah.
So of course the entrances are going to be very flashy. People are going to come out with some unexpected guests.
Augmented reality.
Yeah, true. Lots of
we've got
lots of pre-match promos, that kind of thing.
So we've got Finn in the demon paint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's got to come out as the demon. Yeah,
because he's now, as you told me, he's never lost as a demon.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right. Okay, so that makes it crazy. And then you've got Hart, who's arguably the best technical wrestler ever. Right. I mean, he's one of those guys.
Up there.
Right. He's up there.
Going back to, you got to go back to like somebody like Lou Thez to find somebody who could maybe be more technical than him, and that's 40s. But
and then you got
50s.
Kane, who's definitely not technical.
No.
Doesn't need to be.
he's technically the mayor.
Yeah.
He's a man. He's not a dumb man.
Knox County.
He's just
Well, I mean, I don't
stupidly
think you have to be
strong.
smart to be a mayor.
He's
You
got-
definitely won the election because you're famous and a wrestler.
That's true. That's true.
He's actually got. That's why I named him for Scotty. Is he's actually got the reputation as being one of the smartest wrestlers.
Well, and let's not say he's not smart.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point out.
Okay. And then you have Cody Rhodes, who's a sensation. He's a complete. I've done a little reading on him because I haven't been following late, but I read up on what he's accomplishing outside of the big company is really, really amazing. He's Taylor.
What?
Hey.
Yeah, people just wandering in. What's up, man?
I mean, you got free liquor and a big gas. Let's do this. Let's not come by every week.
Yep.
So I do.
Okay.
For these entrances, okay. I would like to lay out some people. They're going to come out with our roster here. Okay. So I came up with some other wrestlers that represent some of our other players and some other Louisville City related people.
Okay.
So when Finn Balor comes out, Finn Balor does his normal routine. He comes out as the demon. He's in all of his flash, all of his craziness. It's just Finn. He doesn't need anything else. He never really. I didn't want to do any Bullet Club stuff, so we didn't do it.
Right.
Don't do it.
I do want to add that when Mr. Magnus Rasmussen comes out, he is Bret Hart. So Bret Hart is coming out, but he is going to be joined by Sean Tosh, who is represented by Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Oh,
Yes.
And that would be
He's my
Bret
favorite.
Hart
He's
and
my
Jim the
favorite. He's my
yeah.
favorite wrestler.
Oh, he was one of my favorites of all
He was my favorite.
Yeah.
He was my favorite.
He's got a little bit. You got a little bit of Jim the Anvil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the Hart Foundation on deck.
Does that make Amanda Duffy as Natty?
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I think so, yes.
Just throw that out there.
Nope, not
Yep.
according to what I've got.
All right.
Okay.
So you've got Bret Hart. He comes out with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who's represented Sean Tosh. I'm going to do Mr. Scotty G next, who's represented by Kane. Kane comes out with Mr. Scott Stewart. So our former social media gentleman. And because he buried so many people on Twitter, he is represented by Mr. Paul Bearer.
Oh, Paul Bearer. Okay.
That's a good one.
And then, of course, when...
They only gonna be represented by
Ooh, yeah.
When that's shaking around down here.
And this is the cream of the crop right here. I just wanted to throw this one out. So when Dobro comes out, who's being represented by Mr. Cody Rhodes, he also comes out with Mr. Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, who are represented by Mr. Sonny Jane and Speedy Williams because they're fast, flashy,
Oh,
and they're very technical.
this is
I like
an
it.
all-star.
I like it.
God.
Well, I gotta add my own little bit here. A match of this magnitude needs a special referee
Okay.
and one who's kind of at the center of everything for the team is our team captain Paolo Del Piccolo.
Okay.
And who else could represent him but the Rolex wearing,
Oh,
diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling and dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, the nature boy Ric Flair.
so we basically have an all-star match of the ages.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay. Hit some sound.
I'll hurry.
Go.
Mr. Chris Hubbard comes out. All these people are representing Cody Rhodes. They come out with him. Okay. So Chris Hubbard comes out, who is Kenny, the Cleaner Omega.
Jeez.
Cleaner, clean sheets. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
And then to round things off, I've got Amanda Duffy. She comes out, and she is she is represented by Miss Brandy Rhodes, who is Cody Rhodes' wife.
Okay.
So basically, we're surrounded. We're completely surrounded by a lot of personalities. Okay? All right, so we're about to start. We got the four guys in the four corners. Ding, ding, ding. Go.
Right off the bat, I think Bret Hart would be mindful enough, since this is essentially a fatal four-way, he would be mindful enough to step away and let the other guys deal with each other. How you guys feel about that?
I think so. The guy you're going to see flying in first is probably going to be Finn, followed closely by Cody.
Yeah,
They're gonna
I
go
feel.
after Kane, right?
I think the two of them
They go
probably
after
do
Kane,
after
and then
Kane.
Hart's gonna pull to the side.
Oh, yeah.
He's a veteran.
Hart's probably the veteran, the smartest guy in the ring. I see Finn coming in and doing a missile, double leg missile drop kick on Kane.
Because there can only be one demon.
Kane would probably hit the corner.
Nice.
Kane would hit the corner. He'd be a little dazed. Finn would step back, and then I'm assuming that him and Cody would just go at it for a second, because you'd have the smart guy over here, and you would have the dazed guy over here. So now you've got a battle in the middle of the ring between Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes.
Which is a match I would love to see, by the way.
It would be fantastic.
Okay, so stop. The first thing that happens is that Kathy and Michael Ryan show up. Okay? And they are
Who's they from?
Triple H and
On their
McMahon.
like trike motorcycles.
Okay,
like
so they've now shown up. The Ryan family has shown up as Triple H and McMahon. Please continue.
Well, you can't. I'm really upset that Mike is not represented by John Cena, because Mike wears all that camo and you can't see him.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Go ahead.
Well, remember all the DX Hart family hostility back in the day. So you got to think Bret Hart is immediately fixated on him.
Okay.
It's a distraction.
Yeah.
It's a good distraction.
So go ahead.
um,
See, that shook you guys up.
Yeah. I think you get a stare.
Wild card.
I think you get a stare down between Bret and Triple H, and then Cody just actually comes over the top rope and wipes out Triple H.
okay, I'll take that. So you've got Cody outside the ring right now.
Mhm.
You've got Finn inside the ring with Kane and Bret Hart. Bret Hart is distracted.
Mhm.
So we've got Kane and Finn Balor going at it at this point. Demon versus Demon.
Mhm.
Old Demon versus new-ish Demon.
Yeah.
Because Finn's been doing the Demon routine
Right,
for a while.
right.
Basically, Kane swinging with some haymakers. Finn kind of trying to duck, dodge, chip away a little bit.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got outside the ring. What do we have going on outside the ring?
Oh,
Everybody.
I tell you what, if Stephanie hauls off to hit Cody, Brandy catches her arm.
Oh,
They get into a pushing match.
so you basically have Amanda Duffy smacking the crap out of somebody. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
And so we've got outside the ring right now.
Yeah.
We've got it's essentially free for all. There's people piling onto one another. It's more or less a lumberjill match outside the ring.
Mm-hmm.
There's bodies flying everywhere. We've got Mark and Nick Jackson. We've got them super kicking everybody.
Okay.
We've got Kenny the Cleaner Omega, who would he grab a hold? He would want to go after Bret. He would want to establish some kind of supremacy there
Mm-hmm.
because they're both amazing technical wrestlers.
Different generations.
Oh, definitely. So those two are trying. Kenny's trying to prove a point. You got Bret Hart on the ropes.
Kenny might quickly find out that Bret is a shooter, and he is in fact not.
That's right. So I'm picturing this like the wrestlers, obviously, and then the actual people playing the wrestlers, which is hilarious.
So it may be time to knock somebody out of this.
Yeah.
Who is it?
So is this an elimination match?
No, it's
It's
one.
a four-way. It's one and done, right?
Yeah.
It can
So
be,
is that-
usually, yeah.
So there's only one winner.
Right.
I mean, it's like you don't eliminate people.
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so then
And then just it cuts out to Triple H. He nods to Ric Flair. Ric Flair nods back to him. The announcer spent about a minute or two speculating what that means.
okay,
Oh no.
stop. Number 2. Okay. The world's most famous setup music comes on, and it's Mike Bromolo as Stone Cold Steve Austin marching down.
Except he's got a bottle of Bushmills.
Okay, so now please continue.
And a Liverpool flag.
Everyone's stumped. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Go ahead now.
So he comes out on one of those old one of the old whiskey trucks, and it's got the bourbon barrels on the back, okay, and he's got a hose attached to one of the whiskey barrels, and he comes out to the ring and he starts hitting everybody with this Irish whiskey. All right,
Okay.
people are screaming and hollering because they've got whiskey in their eyes, and I think the only person that maybe has enough sense or who can deal with that kind of pain, that would be your Kane in the ring, okay? He's the guy. I mean, he had all this. He had burns and stuff. He can deal with some whiskey.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say the Irishman. I feel like would be fueled by this Irish whiskey.
That's a good point.
It's his elixir.
Of course, you've got how many? Wait, how many Irish guys do we have in the ring right now?
Got 3 or
One?
4?
Or near the ring?
Balor?
Balor's Irish.
Balor's the only one.
I'm thinking Balor because they're both Irish. Okay. So all the chaos that's happening right now. Okay, who do we have outside the ring? Who do we have inside the ring?
Basically everybody.
We got the whole scrum of people that aren't in the match, plus Cody, who I think probably when because Stone Cold immediately stuns Triple H first. I think Cody uses this opportunity to get back in the ring.
You hear that? Mike Ryan, you're out of here. So
Yeah.
Mike Ryan's done.
So that's what's happening. Everybody's dealing with whiskey eye burn.
Yep.
And Mike, aka Stone Cold, he hops in the ring and he starts stunning everybody.
Okay.
He's just destroying the whole
Okay.
ring, like he did back in the late '90s when he cleared the ring when they had the invasion angle and all that stuff. Yeah.
Or instead of oh hell yeah, it's come on Liverpool.
You'll never walk alone. Watch this.
You'll never walk at all.
You'll never walk at all. You'll never walk at all. That's awesome. That's good. Okay.
This is how actual WWE booking meetings go.
I mean, it's not that far off.
I think that we've got outside the ring right now. We've got Kathy Ryan and Amanda Duffy going at it.
Okay.
Stephanie McMahon and Brandy Rhodes. They're duking it out. Brandy, who is not the most gifted wrestler of all time, she's probably taken some serious damage here.
Okay.
But somehow turns it around when there's a distraction. What kind of a distraction?
The distraction is
Okay.
the lights go down
This
and you hear one note. And it's one of our drummers, Tim Daly, as The Undertaker.
Tim's the Undertaker.
Tim Daly is The Undertaker.
This is some WCW level booking right here. This is some TNA booking.
So now it is the match of from hell. You've got Kane, you've got Tim Daly, The Undertaker, in the middle. You've got all kinds of stuff.
By God, King, it's the Undertaker!
Oh my God!
So immediately,
Send it back to hell!
Kane and Paul Bearer are not on good terms with the Undertaker right now. Okay?
Right.
So they immediately, Paul Bearer slams the urn down in the ring, and he says yes, and the Undertaker steps out of the ring, and they proceed to chase after. Well, slowly walk after Kane.
Lurch.
I'm sorry, Kane and Paul Bearer walk after the Undertaker as the Undertaker just stands silently up at the top of the ramp. They approach him, and they battle it out there at the top of the ramp.
And it sounds like because of that, Kane is no longer interested in the match.
I think
At least for the moment, there are no countouts in a fatal four-way.
that's
Okay.
right. I think him
Okay.
and the Undertaker they practically kill each other up there at the top of the ramp.
Okay.
Paul, he tries to throw the urn in there and pop somebody with it. I'm sure that Yokozuna's backstage somewhere doing Yokozuna things, laughing.
Not
At
dead.
some point, he gets like Paul Bearer gets turtle shell.
There's no casket that can fit me. So Kane has essentially been wiped out of this match because of
Right.
the Undertaker. Now we've got Cody Rhodes in the ring, we've got Finn Balor in the ring, and we've got Bret the Hitman Hart, who is probably, hey, what's going on? By the way, we haven't included Jim the Anvil Neidhart whatsoever.
He's definitely like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I like him just doing that the entire time.
Right? That's all I want.
No, I think the Hitman recognizes this as his opportunity. Cody's been out there scrapping. Finn's a little tired from going after Kane. I think he waits for one of them to take the other down, get a little bit of advantage. I'm thinking that's probably going to be Balor, at least initially, knocking Cody down, and then I think Bret Hart starts to lay into Finn.
I would throw this in. There is perhaps another wild card because people do, on occasions, come from the audience.
Right.
And in this instance, it would be Jimmy Hart with his megaphone.
Oh!
And he would, I would think, perhaps blast Balor with said megaphone, creating an opportunity.
So we have to associate that with one of the. I say we associate that with John Harper.
Yeah, that's
So John
perfect.
Harper's Bret the Hitman Hart.
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. Okay.
You hear that, John? You're being represented by
John
Jimmy
Harper.
Hart.
You're being represented by Jimmy Hart. So you know what you got to wear next week.
Yeah.
Got to wear a jacket with notes on it.
The mouth of the South. Yeah.
Okay,
And the mullet.
Coach. We're invoking the time limit. You got 1 minute. 1 minute. Pick a winner.
Kane's out. He doesn't come back. Finn Balor's he's going to do the coup de grace on Cody because Cody's wiped out in the ring. Finn comes off. Jimmy Hart hits him in the ear with that megaphone, throws him off.
John Harper,
That's how I'm seeing it.
you dirty son of a bitch.
He does not land the coup de grace. Cody gets his butt up off the ground while Bret is biding his time. Cody catches Finn with the oh man, I don't know if either of you all can help me out. What's
Crossroads.
his finish? Yeah, he catches him with the crossroads.
I think he stands up right from it. Hart takes him down with a Russian leg sweep.
Yep.
Climbs up the corner, drops the elbow.
The whole time, Bret, with all of this chaos,
Cool,
all of
collected.
all of the craziness,
The best there is, the
Bret-
best there was,
That's
the
right.
best there ever will be.
he walks up and he puts on the sharpshooter
Yep.
Right, it's fine.
in the middle of the ring, and that's it. I mean, that's got to be the way that it goes.
Yep.
So we're saying that the winner of this match is going to be Magnus Rasmussen,
Brett the Hitman.
represented by Bret the Hitman Hart.
And based on your form lately, Magnus, that's good.
That is
Yeah.
good. He deserves it. He deserves to win.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's to our winner, Magnus Rasmussen, the greatest Lou City wrestler of all time.
Somebody give me some kind of booze, please.
Look at this man up.
Pick a bottle with something in it. Give it to me.
Pick a bottle.
That's a
We got an extra chair. Hey, Taylor,
Thank
we
you.
got a chair over here if you want. Is that okay? Is that okay?
I don't know if you're going to be on camera.
I got to kill that. Oh, okay.
You gotta kill it, man.
Oh, that is so good. What is that?
You missed the. You
What
missed
is
the.
that called?
This is the
You missed the
Vino
rosé.
Perfecto Amor.
Let me do like this so we can all.
Yeah, that is good.
All right, so folks,
Good.
we're going to have a wonderful discussion here now. We have James Pizzolato, the King, and Taylor Sorrels, who's been around forever, which is why we wanted to have you on here because you guys have been.
Oh, it's the guy who just
This is
showed up.
really
That's
awesome.
why we
You guys just showed up.
you on
Yeah.
here.
Here,
But I
why
do- I mean,
Seamless.
don't you jump into the intro? Here's the interview seat or whatever.
Yep, that's what I'm going for.
And
Excuse me. Excuse me.
want to thank you guys for coming along. So first, just a couple minutes for the people that have not been around, because I have friends from Jersey that watch this. Actually, I have friends from Jersey, which is I know that's a shock. But
Not wrong. That's a good one.
James, if you'd like to go first and tell everybody a little bit about yourself before you came to Lou City. I know you're from Boston, you rat bastard.
Yeah, that's right. And I say Boston because that's like the only place you know.
Right.
Actually, I'm from south of Boston, right off Cape Cod, Wareham, Massachusetts, home of Gina Davis and the oldest functional nail factory in the country. It's where the guy who invented the shortstop and the bunt is buried.
Who did that?
Gina has a great
it's
last name.
He's dead.
She has a great last name.
She's great in a glow.
I said she has a great last name, too.
I actually grew up around a couple houses down from her parents, who insisted you call them Grammy and Grampy Davis. Odd. But they would leave tomatoes in our mudroom, and that was cool. They were really nice.
The only thing she's Groundhog Day, right?
No, that's like Andy
Oh,
McDowell.
that's right. It is.
What's that?
I'm gonna try to get Taylor to sit a little.
She's-
Can you sit back a little bit more?
She's Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Please come a little bit. Keep coming.
It's been a long
She
time.
don't leave their own.
She was in it with Lloyd
get
Petty,
next time.
Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell,
Yep.
nailing it.
Getting places.
So gotta come over a little bit more. I'm sorry, buddy.
I hear you.
There we go, there we go.
There you go, get that.
I get half a face.
Okay.
Nice.
So you're from Boston or the area?
Yeah, from the area. Kind of lived up there. Both my parents are from Long Island, so that's kind of my background. So actually, you hear more of a Long Island, New York accent, than you do anything from Massachusetts or Boston. Moved down here about almost 10 years ago now, and for my time here, I love Louisville. I'd visited before I moved here. It's I really enjoyed the city. It's for its size. It's one of the few cities in our country has all the major arts. Love it. But I never really felt a real connection to anything specifically in the city until this team came. I'm a big soccer fan. I grew up, I played soccer and played a lot recreational intramurally in college. I actually went to school in upstate New York in Saratoga, another big racing city. And I was the goalkeeper of the championship team the year that I worked at the racetrack. So
Nice.
that was rad. Yeah, well, I'm by far the most massive person on the field. So I'm blocking a lot of shots. And I'm slightly more agile than I look. So I've always been a big soccer fan, and soccer and hockey, obviously baseball too. But we don't have hockey here, and you never will. And I mean, they tried it. It failed.
We had the
I tried to take my daughter to a U of L hockey game, and they have a club team, not even like a school team. It got bumped 45 minutes for a birthday party free skate. So that tells you how much hockey is valued here in Louisville. But when I heard there was a soccer team, Brains and I, good buddies, we were both psyched, and we got season tickets, and that was it. And this has really been for, and I lived here probably for about 6 years before this team came, or a little bit less, I guess 5. But that was really the first thing about Louisville that I really felt connected to, and that really felt like it was mine. And, just early on, game 2 is where I met Jorge. and we like, hit it off and had a ton of fun. And, Joe, we met you and getting you on the drums and doing all that thing. Then we learned that like you were judging band competitions that I was performing in.
Your high school band was the,
we're the Vikings of Wareham. Yeah. So like, just like little things like that. It's like, holy shit, like how do you end up in Louisville and doing marching band, find someone who judged you?
I'm going to tell you something. New England marching band directors are the biggest pricks on the planet. I ain't kidding. I'm sorry. They're just the worst. You'd have critiques after the shows. And I've judged all over the country. And every other part of the country, even New Jersey, they were fairly friendly. You go to Boston in that area where, man, you do critique and they come in and you judge the band. And what they do is you give them a score, but they get to come in afterwards and they all get to take turns and ask you about the score.
Grill you about your assessment.
Man, they're just like getting in your crap. And I'm like, dude, sorry.
Keep in mind, our band director was formerly the marching band director of the U.S. Marines.
Oh.
That was his job prior to coming to my high school. God knows why he did it that
was smooth.
Right.
Considering what a ragtag bunch of miscreants we were, it was a culture clash to say the least.
So Taylor, you're from this area too, aren't you? Are you originally from this?
Yeah, born and raised, and I did one of those weird things, 23andMe ancestry and stuff like that, just to kind of. Apparently, my family has been living here since like the 1700s or something like that.
So all of it was just Louisville.
Yeah, we don't get out very much. I'm native.
And you have your family, wife, kid.
Yeah, I've got a wife and 3 kids.
And
so many.
And I know that you're doing the doctor thing right now.
I'm done with the doctor thing.
You're done with the doctor thing, and you're officially a doctor, Dr. King.
Really? And Dr. Brains, he was a doctor well before I was because he had his stuff.
I know you're a lawyer,
right?
So we're surrounded by very smart people.
That's
debatable.
Definitely people who can do schoolwork.
So
rote memorization.
Yeah.
Got you covered.
So definitely want to ask some questions about where you think. Let's start with this. From the beginning to now, everybody's going to say it's been amazing. I mean, everybody should say it's amazing.
2 championships in 4 years. Yeah.
Right. 2 championships in 4 years.
Being alive.
Spoiled rotten.
Yeah, right.
So you were here. You were here with the Coopers originally. Were you not? Were you one of the original Coopers?
Yeah.
So when that group of people started this up, obviously you're going to say you had no idea it was going to be this big. What was the anticipation of?
What do you mean by anticipation? What did we expect?
Right. What you expected.
Pro sports in Louisville have always been tough.
Right.
Because you're competing directly with U of L, which is run like a professional sports organization, for better or worse. And there's other things like that. I just wanted the team to be able to survive 4 or 5 years, and if it could do that, then I thought it might have some legs. But the first game exceeded expectations. The first season exceeded expectations. And I think the smartest thing, and there's fun stories that probably are never going to be told in public about what all happened with the ownership and management and things like that. Even before the team even got here. I mean, I literally want to throw myself off tall buildings at multiple points before.
I mean, think about how we got Amanda Duffy and how late in the game that was.
No, she got that by default because we had John Buchholz, who was supposed to, who knows his stuff, but I don't know. I like Jordan, so I'm not going to throw him under the bus. But it was just a really interesting situation because of the dynamic that presented itself between ownership and management. And like I said, Jordan didn't even make it to Thanksgiving the first year. And then you had Amanda who ended up doing a really good job keeping the ship pretty steady because one thing about Amanda, she commanded respect from just about everybody. And so that helped a lot with all that situation. But in any event, yeah, what we hoped was we just wanted a team to go watch.
Right.
And the fact we made the conference final the first year was the freaking icing on the cake. Like we did not expect to be there. But I like the other genius hire was O'Connor. Obviously, I mean he. I was legitimately concerned around this time last year. Like, is this going to work without him? And thankfully, the ship seems to have righted itself. We've had some bumps, just like would not have happened with any other situation. But it's good to see that there's we learned a few lessons from that, and there's now like a bunch of procedures and things in place that will keep me from feeling like the ship just fell off the edge of the Kyrie Irving's Earth map. That was what I was scared of, and thankfully, obviously, it didn't happen. I mean, all of a sudden, we went win 6 in a row and plays for the playoffs, and nobody's even having this conversation again.
Right.
But yes, it's awesome. Did I expect it? Of course not. But it's I've said this a lot of other different places too. The reason this is going to continue working is because of that building, with the building over in Butchertown. Without that, I would have serious concerns because they're lighting money on fire at Slugger.
Yeah,
sure.
And they're doing the best they can. They've maximized the monetization as best they can without looking like they're maximizing everything, which is good. That's what you want. That's smart business. But the stadium is the game changer. That's how you know it's not going away.
And then, we grew up in cities that had, college sports was not the priority. Boston, obviously, huge, basketball, everything, all 4 major sports.
So champions.
So you're coming to the first soccer game. And look, I can talk about the Yankees. Don't talk about championships. Okay. So
who won the most recent, my friend?
And how many times did the Giants beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Hey, Giants, that's the best part. From Long Island, they're my second favorite team.
There you go. So I'm just being a douche. So anyway, so you come over. If we come from big city areas, and when we're here in Louisville didn't have any professional sports. What did you think? I mean, did you have any? I mean, obviously, you're talking about not having any anticipation, and you were here. So I mean,
I mean, to me, there was no expectations. I mean, I know it's soccer in Louisville, right. And so I'm not expecting anything crazy. I'm shocked that we even got this, because I know we have a very diverse population of immigrants and refugees, with Catholic Charities being here. We have the second biggest Cuban population outside of Miami. That's really? Absolutely.
Come on, Union City, New Jersey. Really?
This is it.
Okay,
yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
So
I'm not to interrupt. I'm sorry, but Hudson County, where I grew up, Union City, had a massive Cuban population. I mean,
Jorge has.
Other than Miami, Louisville is the number 2 city in the United States that holds the biggest Cuban population.
Right. Because of Catholic Charities. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so we have a huge immigrant refugee population. So I knew there was interest in people who love soccer.
Well, Cubans love baseball. Let's clear that up.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Boxing.
Yeah.
6-7 Chevys. But, so I knew there was a group of people here in a population who was diehard. So that was their number one sport. And I knew it wasn't the people who were going to be at this game and who were bringing this sport to our city. It's just the facts. I mean, it's old white guys with money, and that's not a knock. I mean, that's who you need to run a sports team. And I'm glad we have them. Right. But I had no expectations besides I'm just so happy a sport that I love is here, and it's here as a professional team. Mm-hmm. And that's what mattered to me. And that I had, 2 great friends who were into this and who got season tickets with me, and that we were just going to go to these games and just be thrilled that this sport that we love was going to be present. And I never expected that would be the case. Right. And so to me, it was kind of Jorge, I was just happy this existed, and I was going to go, and regardless of what the outcome was going to be, I was happy to just have that, and I was going to throw it my all from the get-go, just because I was just even before the season started, this is the first time I felt connected to something in this city that felt mine, that I really felt in my heart for me. So it was just very meaningful and important and exciting for me.
Cool.
That's funny. A lot of things fell right that first year, though. The record. But, the opening game, we win against St. Louis, who we decided
was our rival.
Was going to be our rival.
Our arch rival.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who are the best people to hate ever.
But then, you had that game against Oklahoma City where the hail game. Remember what so proudly we hailed, because it was during the anthem. And I remember Fondy holding the flag over the girl's head so she didn't get nailed with the hail. Mm-hmm. And that was my son's one of his birthdays. I don't know. Oh, he was there. But
that was 5 years ago. Count backwards.
Okay, so he's 9, so he would have been 5. He was 5. Yeah, I think he just turned 5 or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's on the plaque. He's a season ticket holder. But so he got to go to that and saw that, we ended up scoring 6 goals in that game or something like that. So like I said, the style was great. So many things went right that first season that kind of made it so they could convince people to pay the cash call to have the second season.
Well, that's really it. That the things that to really get interest from, and when I say casual soccer fans, not like in a pejorative way, but just in a way that like people follow a team more when they're winning.
Pejorative, it might be the biggest word ever used on this podcast, by the way. So thank you.
Nailed it. But like that makes a difference when you're winning and breaking records.
Oh, I can spell it. That was 5th grade spelling word. I would crush that. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. But I think that you make a good point. Like, we're not here if that's not a really great season with a lot of great memories, and not just making it that far unexpectedly and almost unreasonably because you've never seen it coming. But like, there was just so much that just like it was like ESPN classics immediately. Game after game, it felt like it really did.
And you got to know because you're involved with the Cougars, and you were doing the podcast pretty early, right? I mean,
yeah, our first episode was in 2013.
No, there you go. And so you got to. I'm assuming you got to know the players pretty quick, or no? Or?
I mean, they were. It wasn't because of the podcast necessarily. I never asked for guests or anything like that when I was doing it. But it was just Tim Clark and I.
But we're needies. That's why we.
Yeah, that was fine. But no, but we used to But James came one time, and Wayne Sopinel came on one time, and then it'd just be random. And Jordan came one time, and this is back in the early days. But we didn't go. I did not make it my business to deal with any of that. I'm like, if they want to come on, they can come on. But it's continued. The players are super available.
That's what I'm saying. It's amazing.
They're always super. Yeah, like Matt Fondy would go and do anything.
Right,
and Sean and everybody else.
If you got to speak to them, what were their expectations? I mean, were they sort of like totally freaking stunned by this? I mean, what do you think?
I think it depended on who it was. Because you had guys that were veterans. It was a very interesting group of players that first year. You had guys like Brian Burke and Fondy who'd been around the block, this minor league soccer thing, and kind of knew what to expect. But we did a lot better. Like, who else was drawing well that year? Like Sacramento was still drawing well. And Orlando City had done really well in USL. That's kind of it.
That was it.
Richmond did about what they do now, so nothing different, and Charleston and stuff like that. But it became a big deal fast in Louisville, and I think the players definitely noticed, and they really appreciated it. They had never had anything to say other than it is so much fun to play games out, even if you have to play on that crappy field and all that stuff. The crowd makes it. It makes it worth it.
Well, I can say that talking to some of the people behind the scenes too, that's what you would hear a lot, is that players from other teams would approach to be like, I want to play here.
Oh, yeah.
Or like being in the dugout, as being on the bench for injury stuff, and saying to, Brandon Morris, like, is it always like this? He's like, this is nothing. Like, you have no idea. And other players and other teams were just like, we don't get this welcome. Like, people in costumes and drums and like all this, like, we don't get anything like this. Even if the numbers were the same, there wasn't that same level of just like over the top enthusiasm.
Freaking Louisville, man.
Yeah, man. So even weird.
So you're talking about the culture. I'm going to ask everybody this. You all can touch on this. Outside of this group, I mean, that's going to be an obvious answer. But name one person, Matt, starting with you, that you met that has nothing to do with this drum thing, or has nothing to do with the this part of the supporter thing, that has had an impact on you.
Nothing to do with the drum thing.
Just somebody that's a supporter. Somebody that's a supporter that you became tight with. That had how that all together. Yeah, but because this is going to be an obvious conversation.
Yeah, this is the obvious.
Right, but there's probably a supporter. I mean, yeah, try and think of a supporter that has nothing to do with all of that you mentioned. Say, like, I met this person, and this person is, and this is how we met, whatever.
Or is it short of like the people here and like the rest of the drummers, it's pretty obvious. I had known Adam Watson from ATG.
Okay.
But like just because we went to the same high school at different times, we have mutual friends, but I didn't really hang out with him and talk to him much until the soccer games.
Okay.
Ended up drinking with him for some commercials for podcasts.
That was pretty fun to drink.
Hanging out. Yeah.
James?
Trying to persuade our mutual friend Joe to come, things like that.
Classic. Yeah, I mean, I think actually it's a good point. Like Adam's, I think, someone who, we've gotten really close, been good buddies. And obviously he brewed our beer and like we do a lot, and we, sometimes
I can't imagine this without the ATG and Adam doing his thing. I can't even imagine.
Right. Brew a beer and you just kind of took the name.
No, we did our thing, which is where we said it was happening and we kept saying it was going to happen. And then finally, this is before we even really knew him. He finally, after a game, said to us, let's come talk about beer ticks. And like that was it. We just willed it into reality. But I would say Adam is definitely like one of the top ones. And, you know, Anthony and Jordan, who are really fantastic, love those guys, and they're really great friends. James and Kate. Kate is LOUCITY Louise, who wears the Louise Belcher bunny ears. You know, and now like it turns out I moved and they're like half a block away from me. And so we hang out all the time, and they're really good friends of mine, and I'm really grateful. And so, you know, we do curling together, like we were just talking about. So
You do curling? You said?
I went to a curling class, and now I'm joining. It was kind of like towards the end of the season last time, so I wasn't
It's
going to
just
pay
an
full
excuse to
price.
drink beer on ice.
Boom,
It's a great,
like
it's a great
hockey.
time. Great time.
Is there a guy named Scott running the class?
Probably.
Okay. No, I work with a guy named Scott who runs a curling class.
That's it, because there's only one.
Okay.
What about
Yeah.
you, Derrick?
Brandon Beaven.
Okay.
Brandon and I started hanging out. I think I just walked past him one day and I said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he just started talking to me. He's a real social guy. We became friends, and I mean, hell, we when Fallout 76 came out, rest in peace. Brandon and I power leveled on Fallout 76 together. And man, we had so much fun. And that's what we would do. We'd play Fallout 76. We'd talk about soccer. And I'm talking like 3 weeks straight, man. We were up all night. Like
We've all been there. We know.
we would take a break to put our kids in bed, and then, you know, we'd come back and play some more. And I mean, he's had an impact on me. I mean, he's into a lot of the same stuff that I am. And I'd have never met that guy if I hadn't freaking walking around the parking lot of the tailgate, you know? So that's just something that I look at.
I want to say too, not to jump back real quick. Sorry,
Sure,
but
sure,
like
okay.
also I need to throw out just something people who like I just love and mean a lot to me, like Rump Thump and Jen, and they've been coming to my Friendsgivings. And there's not many people. It's just like the four of us, and we are eating, and they're getting sent home food. But you know, like those are, and Thumper, like he lived across the hall from me for a while, like, and those are just people who I really value and are good friends, and so I just wanted to make sure that they got mentioned.
I mean, the list is long.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, like,
That's just,
In alphabetical order.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to like make people feel slighted. It's just, you know, there's got to.
Right.
The whole point is reaching out to somebody and having somebody in your life that you would have never had.
oh, the truth is, I wouldn't have ever met anybody that I do little city stuff with if I hadn't met that, because the people that I socialized with thought I was weird for having anything to do with any of it.
So do we. So that,
But
All your proper lawyer friends in their wigs.
I mean, I played golf growing up. Okay, that's the
Sounds
kind
right.
of thing that we're dealing with here. So, but it's been a really cool cross pollination, and it's a surprising one. Between the types of people that I've gotten to be friends with because of Little City and the Coopers and soccer, I want one.
Lisa, if you want to grab, Lisa, I'm sorry, we don't have another chair. I want you to come over. If you want to grab a stool or something or whatever, I'm sorry.
It's like the Grand Rapids movie.
Yeah, I feel bad. I don't want you. Please. I'm
No,
sorry.
the group of people that I've been able to get. My dad bought. I didn't even know. My dad bought season tickets. My dad does not. He's a traditional American sports guy, just like all of our dads, I'm sure.
Right.
But he was on the train, but probably to support me more than anything. And tickets were pretty cheap back then.
Mhm.
But
Fact.
but I think
Here,
that's
we can
why,
share.
you know. Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten to know anyone
Right.
probably. But because it doesn't. The streams don't cross all that much.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Lisa, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But
No,
it's
no,
been
no,
great.
no.
No, it's my favorite part about those is that I'm so happy that it happened.
Right.
Not for taking the fun soccer part and the other fun opportunities that doing Coopers, like being involved with Coopers and the website and podcast and all those other fun things that have gotten me. I never would have gotten to know Brian or Matt or Tom who grew up with my wife,
Right.
Or you guys, so many fun, interesting people that I would probably never have run into if it hadn't been for Little City. I thank God that it happened.
Right.
Jorge, I'm so glad that
Yeah, he's crazy.
He had to go do all
It's
the
a fact.
things.
Yeah, all the things.
So many people. I mean, you,
Right.
Michelle, some of the
Yeah,
owners
right.
that I know that I worked with in the ER,
Okay.
that I've gotten closer with them,
Mhm.
Pradeep and Jeannie. Just
I got to ask you this, if as this is off the cuff. Have you ever had someone come in that while you were working and they were hurt or something like that? Has that happened yet? Like you said, you were a nurse.
Yeah.
Like who? Like, I don't want to not who.
HIPAA.
People were hurt. Like she's a nurse. She deals with like.
What I'm saying is that,
Oh, you
like,
mean at the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, or match. Sorry. Yeah, people will come up to me and they're like, "Lisa, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Dehydrated.
That's what
Right.
you
Yeah,
always
just-
have a Band-Aid. Oh, let me tell you a funny story.
go.
Okay, so I've been shaving my legs since I was 12 years old.
Me too.
Heard that.
But
Mhm.
I'm still not good at it because I'll cut myself
Me
all
too.
the time.
Me too.
Right? Okay. I know I'm here with a bunch of guys, but I hope you have sisters or wives or something. So I was at a game one day and I needed a new Band-Aid. Right? Have you ever been to first aid?
No.
I don't
At
think
the
At the
stadium?
Yes.
No.
I wanted a Band-Aid. I just needed a new Band-Aid.
You brought your
Well, I guess-
insurance card.
They
It's Brandon Morrison's job, but he was on the field.
filled out a form. I just said,
Fanny pack.
I'm a
Poor
nurse.
guys, you rub
I
some dirt on it.
just need a Band-Aid. I just needed a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
No, for my knee right here. Well, how did you do that? What happened? Made me fill out 2 forms, and I'm like, Band-Aid.
To fill
So I always have a Band-Aid in my purse
Bunch of
now.
lawyers in that ownership group. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
Damn
You just gotta go to like the
Band-Aid.
concession stand. They got like a first
Yeah,
aid.
that's
They
what
just
you
give
do.
it to you.
That's what you
That's
do.
why I have Band-Aids in my purse all the time now.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not going back to first aid.
Okay. Right.
Just half the game.
Right. I'm like, there's life going on outside of these walls. I got to get out of here.
One of the guy that I met, one of them, I've met so many people, but Jim Tosh has been he's
Super
just
nice
a
guy. Nice guy.
great guy.
He is.
When you're the parent of a player, you can take the opportunity to be aloof. You know what I'm saying? You can do that. You know, and no one was going to question you. He doesn't have to. They don't have to do that. And hang out. We're going to go see the Giants and Bears play in November. I mean, he's a great example of somebody that I'm so glad because of the soccer thing that I met, because he's a friend. You know, and that's kind of what this whole thing's about. We were talking about the community thing before, and after a while, the wins and losses are great. You know, we win a lot, and thankfully we're winning again.
Cheers.
Yeah.
However, regardless of how it's getting
Brad
done,
Estes.
Brad Estes.
I haven't said that in a long time.
There you go. Thank you for that.
I don't know.
But the winning and losing is I don't know, that's great. But hanging out with people that I haven't had an opportunity to ever, I would never definitely have met, to me it's more, that's more important. And then what I want to lead to is the community thing. And what do you think? And whatever order you want to talk about, reaching out to the community is something that we're really engaging in this year. It's happened for the first time that I've been here. I mean, we tried it, and the Angel Share thing is fantastic. Michelle and Shauna have been tremendous.
I'm so happy that they've taken that.
Right.
Yeah.
I really am.
Just brainstorming. I mean, we're talking next week. We're going to talk about a fundraiser that we're going to start up next week. But not just outreach from a fundraising standpoint, but an opportunity to sort of reach out, not to help the team, but to help the community.
Like an open
through the
arms
team.
type thing.
Does that make sense? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just, you know, and we've, in our own like small group thing, you know, and just tweeting stuff out and doing that way, we've engaged in a lot of different charity work on our own and in collaboration with the Coopers and all the other supporter groups. And had great success. I mean, shit, when I had to shave my head and beard, that was a miscalculation on my part. But we raised thousands of dollars I never expected, and
Exactly.
that was awesome. I mean, the last 500 I think was put up by Melissa's wife, who just was doing it to spite me, which I love as a New Englander. That's what I love about her, which is why I really love her. And we are not Facebook friends,
Okay.
and we never have been, and we probably never will be. That's our relationship.
Yeah.
But you know, like that to me is really important. Like I said, we do a lot of stuff, and I always reach out when we're going to do any type of drive to Americana Community Center, Kentucky Refugee Ministries. What do you guys need? Like, it's not about feeling helpful, it's about being helpful.
Being helpful. That's right.
Asking what you need and giving
Absolutely.
you that, not just giving you a bunch of stuff we collected so we can feel like we did something good for people.
Right.
That's not helpful. Then they have to get rid of that nonsense. Like reaching out into communities, asking what they need, and whether that's there or with schools or young soccer programs or just anywhere, like just doing good in the community is
Have
just very
y'all had Mario on here yet?
Not yet, but we want to.
He's
He
the best
sounds
hire
like
they've
an
made.
amazing. Right.
I mean, he's doing fantastic stuff. And
Yeah.
It's mostly under the radar, which is the way he wants it to be.
Right.
And I, hat off to him for that too. But he's doing a fantastic job. He's really taking that ball and run with it. The nice part about when he got hired, they basically said, "What can you do?" He's like, "Well, just let me do what I want to do.
Right,
and things
right,
are going
right.
to be fine." And that's really turned out.
Mhm.
I love that guy.
Right, and it's the coaches that we've had here. I don't want to get back too heavy into the technical thing. We've been lucky. We have been really, really lucky. When you start talking about, you go from O'Connor, who I've said this, and I don't say this as a joke, and I don't say this just to say it to get attention. You know what? Sub him in for Berhalter with the national team. How much better or worse is it? I'm dead serious. I am dead serious when I say that, because what he did to develop the talent here, which a lot of question marks. Granted, there were a couple guys that kind of didn't pan out that we thought would have, but there were plenty of guys that came here that no one thought would be anything.
How many of our players get poached for higher levels by teams with higher payrolls? I mean, it's because he found a way to bring out the strengths in people while masking their weaknesses or, making up for them in different ways.
Right.
That it doesn't create a hole in our lineup by having this person in there because they have this strength and this weakness.
Well, I mean, and Kyle Smith is a classic example of that. I mean,
Exactly.
he's Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Let's not
He's
forget
getting-
Oscar Jimenez.
No, of course not. And Oscar is unfairly probably is not going to get to go to MLS. He's just, I think they probably think he's too old. I remember he was on, I forget, I think it might have been Evan's podcast earlier this year, kind of lamenting that a little bit. And I totally get it. I think he's spot on. He could play. He's got 2 feet. He could do, and he can play fullback. And MLS is not a league; it's just a glut of really good fullbacks.
No, there's a lot of trash.
He can definitely play.
You guys tell me.
Fullback.
I've said this. You take away the designated players, and we had Sean Reynolds on here, and he said the same thing. You take away the designated players, the average to okay USL player, the drop off from the average MLS player to the average USL player.
It's not big. It's
not
huge.
big.
I mean, it exists.
It exists. No, it exists. I'm not.
But it's not. It's not.
And there are those gems in the USL that, like, look at Mark Anthony Kay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who make that transition and
That's an MLS All-Star.
is now
Yeah.
one of the premier players, and that's in a season.
Right.
You know what I mean? And obviously, he's a very talented guy with a lot of great coaching and training prior to Louisville City, and you can't help that. Whether it's what James O'Connor helped grow in him as well, or just helped showcase about him in his system, that made that transition possible for people to see that, we got to get this guy. This guy's got some real talent here, and we need him on our squad.
Right. And I think the community, the connection, like a guy like Niall McCabe, who has become he's so intertwined from a community standpoint. Not just he's a guy that came through here and played in Louisville, trying to get on his way from something else. Which leads me to the next thing that I wanted to ask you guys. I know that MLS is, we all have our feelings about it. I'm not trying to get into that conversation. The importance of being part of MLS for this team in the future. Yes, no, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking because we all have our opinions, but it's just, what do you think? It's an important question to ask because we want the stadium and this team to be here for the next 50 years. So.
I don't think it does. I don't think it's a necessity.
Right.
I don't. I think, and frankly, it's not a reality right now because of the price tag and the GLS requirements and things like that. We don't meet a lot of the standards. We just don't.
I have a weird opinion on all this stuff, and I don't even know if y'all agree with me or not. But
Let's have it.
you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s when everybody said that St. Louis was the gateway to soccer in the United States. Do you remember that?
They're trash
I've
team.
been saying that a lot longer.
That conversation, yeah, that
St. Louis has been
conversation.
saying that for a long
That's what I'm
time.
saying.
I don't mind Louisville being that new team of the 2020s where, hey, if you want to play pro soccer, I don't have a problem with them saying you need to go to Louisville to do that.
Right.
I like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to keep great talent here all the time. But I love that thought that Louisville could be that jumping point for really talented players.
We're positioned for that to an extent with Hackworth, I think, because the results have been weird this year. But you got to admit he's developed a few guys that are playing a whole lot better. Some out of necessity, but then you would have thought I've loved Napa Matsoso since he played in college. But he's been a breath of fresh air in the midfield this year, plugging a lot of holes that I don't think anyone had planned on him plugging early in the season. Speedy all of a sudden is a much more reliable defensive midfielder than he was before when he was more of an 8 and more of a distributor. And you didn't necessarily count on him to put in a tackle or take up space in front of the back. Ombi's still Ombi, and we got the guys up front are kind of are what we expect. But McMahon's sudden resurgence
That has been unbelievable.
is awesome. And I just think I think it took a while to figure out how to tweak all the dials, but the last 3 games, we look like we used to look.
I think that signing tweaked his dial a little bit. I mean, because they when you hire somebody that's specifically a right back.
I don't even think that was necessarily about Pat. It's more about I think poor Sean Francis, who I love, it just hasn't been consistent enough this year. And Pat is the picture of consistency. And so I think finally was like, you know what? If we're going to sacrifice a little bit going forward and keeping it, which he's actually done a really good job of, he's very cautious. He's smart. He's judicious. He knows what he can and can't do. But because Francis is all go all the time. But I think Pat is so much more reliable as far as defense, which is kind of what Kyle Smith did. They're different players, but Smith was a super solid defender, never got beat. Liked to get forward. Then you weren't counting on him to put crosses in or anything like that. He could, but that wasn't what you're asking him to do. And McMahon can fill that role. Is he as good as Kyle is right now? Maybe not, but he's doing the job and he's doing it really well. So
we need more guys.
Like you said, he follows Dusty Rhodes' advice. Don't do stuff you can't do.
Jeez.
We need more guys that are brave enough to play the sport with handlebar mustaches, in my opinion.
I'm glad he's growing the hair back out. That's key. It really is. It's like Samson.
Derrick, I agree with you with, this is the place if you want to come and play to be the gateway to soccer. I totally agree with that. I think that's great. I told you before, I'm a UK basketball fan. Calipari has been one and dones for, years. And if you want to be in the NBA, you want to play basketball, you want to learn, you come to Kentucky and you stay maybe to your sophomore year and then you're gone. So I'm fine with that, and our team, our players are they're good people. They, like Taylor said, they'll come to any event. They're very available. They're such nice people, nice guys. They're family guys. They're not out partying. They're not doing crazy stuff on the weekends.
5 years, they've never embarrassed us in the newspaper.
Not once. Not once. Knock on wood. Cheers to that.
4 arrested in
They can embarrass themselves in private all they want.
Right? But they're good guys. And I can't say that about one pro team. There's always somebody that's, doing something bad. And I just love that about our team.
And going back to what we were saying before, I've never, in all the years we've been celebrating, we've done a lot of celebrating. I've never once stopped in the middle of hugging somebody after we scored a goal and say, gee, I would have done this with more passion if we were in MLS. I don't ever remember doing that.
My feeling is, for me, we'll start with it being very selfish. I cannot afford MLS season tickets. And B, what I love is that, I have Red S's phone number in my phone. And, how many you mooks are, Facebook friends with the players? We have a level of – before the first championship game, I saw Sean Tosh.
It's a Yankee thing. No,
yes.
I knew it was something.
But before the first championship game, Tosh is tweeting about not having the dongle for his headphones, and I was like, "I got you, dude. Where we meeting?" It's there you go. Thank you, dongle. Not into Bourbon.
Matt, you have a very nice dongle.
Why, thank you.
You're
I get that a lot.
It's very average size. But I love that we have that access and that connection. That a bunch of those dudes showed up Jen's birthday, at the track.
Yeah.
I love that connection, and not because I feel special, because anyone can have that connection with the front office, with the players, to feel like you have a voice. Not because I feel like I pay my season tickets, I deserve a voice. No, I just want to feel that I pay my season tickets and I'm valued.
Right.
And that doesn't mean I get it my way all the time, but I'm not taking for granted that I'm always going to be buying season tickets because I love this team, even though I'm going to. So,
Right.
Thanks for not taking
we have
advantage.
to at least pretend like we might.
Right. But I just love that that's the connection that you get. That when I reach out that says, hey, we're doing this charity thing. Hey, we'll donate these shoes. Hey, what can I do to help? Hey, Fondy's dad's donating to our charities. He hasn't been on our team for years.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that
Yeah.
I don't need MLS because as far as I'm this is professional soccer. Right. Regardless of level, this is professional soccer and it's my team. And
that's the point.
I love that.
And it doesn't the initials of the league should have nothing to do with how much you love a team. And then getting into the next topic is St. Louis. Okay, they just got their they got their ticket to the country club.
They got relegated.
Well,
Yeah.
not St. Louis FC, but the city.
Right, City of St. Louis, exactly. So they now have an MLS franchise. All right, so you have 5 years of that team playing at suboptimal levels
At
But-
a high school field.
at a high school field. But
But they will tell you that the men's national team has played games there. Blah 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 blah.
Right. I mean,
Right.
lots of people have played on metal bleachers, and it's trash.
Yeah, that doesn't make it
The
good.
women's, I mean, think about the NWSL team that played in Buffalo in the outfield of a
Western New York
baseball,
Flash, yeah.
100 feet by like 64 feet, a professional soccer game.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. Where you play is not a good indicator.
No, it's not. And you sit there saying to yourself, like, all right, let's say we got that call. Let's say that the city of Louisville got the call and they said, "Oh, you're going to get one of these franchises or whatever." Think about what we would gain and what we would lose. I mean, because there are losses there, and like I used this analogy before, and I'm sorry to go back to this drum corps thing, but there was a stadium in Jersey City. It was called Roosevelt Field, and this is where they had this big show every year. It was called the Dream Contest. Roosevelt Field was a minor league baseball field. It smelled like urine. I mean, it was what you would expect a city near the swamps in Jersey City to smell like. But I'm telling you,
Jersey City, that makes me think of urine.
right. And let me tell you something. You get online and you go to the old drum corps sites. Everybody talks about the Dream Contest because it was such there was a communal feeling there amongst all the competitors because we were in this crappy stadium playing the show. Slugger Field. We're going to miss Slugger. I'm telling you, we're not going to miss. No.
I'll miss against the grain being part of the
Fair
stadium.
enough.
I'll
But
tell you that
that's what
much.
I'm talking about. We're not going to miss
Those
playing
things.
on Slugger Field, but we're going to miss the experiences at Slugger Field. I guarantee you, we're going to miss the day. We're going to say, "Man, it really sucked carrying all that stuff around," but it was kind of. Well, we used to carry all that stuff around.
Yeah.
Matt, I mean, you've been part of the whole setup deal for years. It's a pain in the ass, but still.
I'm not gonna have to lift barrels over
No,
the rail
I'll
anymore.
have fun memories. Don't get me wrong.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But
Fun
having like
memories.
doing some of the things that you have to do at that stupid field because of the baseball.
Because of that stupid field.
Because that's
Is it like for example, my kids are doing player walkout on
Right.
for the umpteenth time or something like that on Saturday, and just going down like that. It's a baseball facility and it's designed to be that way, and it's very clear that that's what it's for.
Right.
There's like when you walk out, there are rakes, there are all the shit that you need to do all that. And I'm just like, man, I cannot wait to get to a place that's purpose built for what we're trying to do here. And there, like I said, I will have fun memories. There were great games, great times had by all. Trust me, we've all been there. I cannot wait to go to this place.
Well, I can't wait.
And I'd like to exercise beach night from our history.
I can't wait to get in the new facility too. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we've earned this.
Oh yeah,
We have
And
definitely.
like you said,
earned
facility
this.
is sustainability.
absolutely. It's the thing that's going to keep the company afloat.
Right, and the greater point was being that we've maintained through playing on a baseball field where you were talking before, Lisa, where you had to the retracting of the friggin' mound, and playing on that field, which was crap and still is, and the acoustics of the place suck. So if you're sitting there trying to get chants going
You
on,
can't get any noise going.
can't get any noise going.
You get boo instead of Luke.
Right. And then you have, we were talking about before you got here, Orlando leaving the affiliation was a blow. That was no surprise to that wasn't supposed to happen.
No, but I didn't think we were getting anything out of it, so I didn't know
Well,
about me at all.
Okay, I mean that's fair. But there were things that happened across the all of this.
They paid our entry fee though.
They did pay,
I'm
and,
glad there's not another purple team anymore.
and if there's no association with Orlando, there's no James O'Connor.
Probably not.
So
Well, but you still have Wayne because Wayne was still had his ownership.
okay.
So that was still. I mean, that wouldn't have gone away necessarily.
Okay. But there's been potholes in minds that in all of this, and the field is part of those potholes. And here we are.
We have the turf monster.
Here we are, and I think, and it had nothing to do with stupid initials. It had to do with building something that we wanted to be a part of.
And I think a lot of people, and this point has been made in a lot of different places. A lot of folks that go to the game don't even know what MLS is.
Right.
There's a contingent of folks that don't think it's legitimate unless you're top flight, and that's an opinion that you can have, and it's fine.
And yet they love like college sports.
See,
Right,
that's-
right. Yeah.
That's the point. Is that
Yeah.
That's the top level of college sports.
right? And this thing is,
No,
you know,
it's not.
you grow up, you're sitting
It
there
is
like
in basketball, but that's because the
well, it
only
was.
partially plays basketball.
Yeah.
you're sitting there
You
playing.
can't play certain defenses in that damn league.
You're sitting there growing up 3 miles from Giant Stadium, and I'm moving to Louisville. And I'm like, this is a step down. You are. That's the way you're thinking in your head when you're 30 years old and you're moving, and then you realize it's not the case at all. Louisville fans and UK fans are just as passionate as any professional sports fan. The point being is that
Yes.
Louisville City fans are just as passionate as any fan that
Always handsome.
as.
Oh yeah.
And in my case, 4. But okay, 3.5. We'll negotiate. But we're just as passionate. The point is, the new stadium, everything that we fought. The point is that everything that we've had to deal with, being this franchise, and everything playing in that stadium, helped us build a bond to help us create that atmosphere. So I'm wondering in the future, you guys can speak up what you want. In the future, we have this wonderful facility. We have this great field. We have a coach. We have an infrastructure set up. What makes it better?
Money and competition.
Okay.
Those are the basic answers. And it just depends on, does the average fan that goes to a game necessarily care? Maybe not. But, it's one of those things like Louisville wants to be in the same conversation as Nashville, and Indianapolis, and St. Louis, and things like that. And there are benchmarks that we don't meet in certain ways. In other ways, we exceed.
Right.
But from a pro sports landscape
Interesting point.
perspective, we don't. But we want to so bad.
And to make a point, not to interrupt, I'm sorry. Austin, now having the soccer team, we are now the largest city in the United States that does not have a professional Division I team in any sport.
Mm-hmm.
That was on ESPN today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's not. But that's it's a make you feel good thing.
Right.
Does it really matter? Probably not. But I mean, but for if people that if you're a type of person that wants to be taken seriously, and then the letters on the league are what make you feel that, then that's fine. But for the folks that have been coming, no, we don't. It doesn't matter. It's a great It's a great product. It really is. It's fun. They run it like it's a professional team. I'm not, some stuff they do drives me a little bit crazy, but that's Jordan's milieu, and I'll let him stick to that. But they run it like it's a professional sports franchise, and they treat it seriously, and most of the fans treat it seriously. You got that fan, that Atlanta game. I got stories about that, but anyway, people were genuinely excited. It's like, oh my God, everybody's having the same conversation on the concourse at halftime. Right. It was like, I must have said the same thing to 5 different people. It's like, oh my gosh, the game plan is actually working the way it's supposed to for the first time in God knows how long. But everyone was having the same conversation, and so we've done a lot of things the right way. Would it make a whole lot of difference to the folks that are in the building? Probably not. But from other avenues, then it matters some. It matters. I mean, there are reasons to want it, but it's not. We don't need it.
You actively supported an MLS team, right? And then you actively support this. Chime in about that, please.
I didn't necessarily. I still love Columbus, but I didn't. I didn't really go up to Columbus for the team per se. I like the people that are up there that support that team. Kevin McCullough, I don't know, he's probably never gonna watch this, but there was a really cool.
Wait, I know people in New Jersey, but maybe we can make that happen.
I mean, it was. I went up there. I spent so many weekends in Columbus with this. It was a group of about 12 to 16 people, and we had so much fun. Like, I know so much about Columbus now just because
great city.
And
Ohio.
That was one of the first things that I did was I was like, hey, there's no soccer. And I'm talking all the way back in the 90s, when they started the league up and stuff. I'm like, hey, MLS is coming, professional soccer's coming. Where's the closest team? And I was looking at Kansas City when they had that.
I was on a list in 2003 when they were doing expansion.
Were they really?
But
we had the potential to do it, and our good friend Mayor Jerry Abrams said, no, it's not.
Really?
Yeah.
But the Kansas City
U of L does a lot to block.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
They have a lot of
Absolutely.
weight to throw
they
around.
weren't even in the ACC. I don't know if we even had
But they-
varsity.
Oh, for
No,
the
but-
Big East.
Yeah, but even still, it's a matter of this is their
No,
market.
No, and that was
Oh,
the
they were
Jerry
still-
Cheers too. Who that? Yeah. Okay.
Well,
The USA.
And then Patino stopped an NBA team from getting here too. I mean,
Yeah.
that came out as well. I mean,
They don't want any type.
They don't want
no matter what, it's going to pull from their market, even though it doesn't.
right. It doesn't.
And so they're always going to do what they can, whether it's through their own pieces or fundraising or political pressure to try to.
And that's a
push things.
manifestation of a larger ethos that our city has sometimes about certain things. But anyway, continue.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it was
We digress.
it was a toss up for me. Like I was like, hey, you know, where can I go to partake in all of this professional soccer? Because we didn't really have anything back then. I mean, we had nothing here. I don't think it was till the mid 2000s when we had that Kentucky Thoroughbreds or whatever that played on Central's Field. You know,
we had the Lightning too for a little while.
but well, I don't include the Lightning.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so it was a toss-up for me. I was like, hey, I can go to Kansas City and I can watch professional soccer.
Right.
And that's back when they had that ugly wizard logo.
Mm.
Or I could go to Columbus, and it really came out to like, you know, which is the worst drive. And driving to Kansas City, I don't know if you've ever driven through the plains, but it sucks.
It's twice as far.
Down in Columbus sucks too. But it's
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I went up there initially, and I just drove up there by myself one time, and I found the guys that were selling merchandise at one of the tents, and I was like, hey guys, you know, I'm up here from Louisville, and they're like, oh great, a guy that drove here 4.5 hours or whatever. And, they just kind of took me in, and then that's kind of how Columbus took off for me. It was, I just wanted to go somewhere where I could watch high level soccer.
Sure.
And that was like the closest place that I could go. I mean, it didn't have anything like that in Cincy, Nashville. It had nothing. So that's ultimately, I ended up going to Columbus, and then I fell in love with it. I mean, I've still got my bar scarves from 2008 back there where they won the championship. I mean, it's like,
Right. I get bummed out when people go off on MLS supporters and teams. I don't like that. I don't like the league. I never will. Okay.
I don't like the league
But
either.
it has nothing to do with the supporters and the teams. The supporters love their teams, and that's fine. That's great.
And that's what supporters should do.
That's
In
what
any
supposed
sport.
to.
100% agree.
You're a fan. That's what you do. You support your team.
And you got guys, the players. Look, if I had a job offer, hypothetically, at a bigger company, let's say I worked at UPS, which I did, and if FedEx came to me and offered me more money for the same gig, I'd probably go. How dare I question somebody in USL if they want to play in MLS? It's the same deal.
Yeah.
You play one franchise, another franchise offers you more money. So when people
America.
right, I mean,
you know, you definitely look at MLS a lot different when you're an MLS fan, because you know you got these teams that, you know, signing these multi-million-dollar deals for these DPs,
right.
and you do get excited, like, ooh, because they'll make an
I get to
announcement,
see
you know,
it. Yeah.
new DP signing coming in, and you don't know who it is, and they build it and stuff. But you know that people get excited about stuff like that. They're like, ooh, who are we offering this mammoth
Well,
salary to?
I mean, to
and
be in
who-
Orlando, and even at the end of his career, but to like say like I saw Kaká play, like
Yeah,
that's cool. Like even if you say
How's Latan? I'd pay money to
Zlatan,
watch him play
like-
somewhere,
I
yeah.
got to see Pele play.
right,
You know, I mean, it didn't matter. I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. What's this?
Hey, we got to see GB. Sorry.
Oh,
You can do it.
I'm sorry, I'm tired.
you got this. Come on, get it.
give it a shot.
Phoenix dude.
Oh,
Drogba.
Drogba,
Drogba.
Didier
Oh,
I actually
Drogba.
got to meet the guy. It was all that was
Yeah.
awesome.
I got to beat him. It was great. We had the
Sure.
championship.
Also good. Also good.
So when people start talking about, and the last point being, people start ragging on individuals and going off on people like St. Louis, they're going to do the, you know, the folk that are they're supporters of the team. The vast majority of them that I see online, they're looking forward to doing the MLS thing. I'm bummed that they're leaving. I was bummed that Cincinnati left. I'm bummed that Nashville left because leaving. Because if you think about what that Central Conference could have been with Indy, Cincy, Louisville, Memphis, Nashville, I'm not wrong. I mean, come on, that would have been amazing.
Had a lot of fun.
It would have been really, really good. But all right, that's not going to happen. Move on.
it's like indoor from the 80s.
Right. Cleveland Arrows, right? Remember Cleveland?
The Canton Invaders.
Yeah. The point being is that, all right, we move on from that. And the last thing I want to talk about, you guys jump in wherever you want. It has nothing to do with the initials of the league. It has to do with what we bring to the table as supporters in order to support the team. And we have a nice facility. You can have nobody show up to a nice facility. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the facility.
Been in some nice facilities where no one's there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, so in order to sort of build bonds and try and get more people to come to games as supporters, what role do supporters play in that?
Ambassadors.
You gotta be a welcoming.
Yeah, ambassadors.
You heard
Players.
Derrick. He went up there. He said, "I'm from Louisville for the game," and they were like, "You drove from Louisville, dude!" Like it's
They
that
were
feeling-
thrilled.
right? It's like when we invite people on Twitter or anywhere else. Hey, come to our tailgate. We got free food, and you don't have to pay for anything. We got you covered. Like it's making it, whether it's for like traveling, opposition or new fans. It's saying you're like we're here for you. You don't have to know anything about soccer. You don't have to ever seen a soccer game. You're just here, and we're going to show you the best time possible.
Right.
And it's not going to be like, oh, you call it a field, it's a pitch. You know what I mean? It's like it's not that pretentiousness. This is about fun, and it's about the game, and it's about the experience, and the people, and the food, and the liquor. If you want to be about that, it's about a good time
Right.
that includes a soccer game, and that's not to take away the focus from the team and the product on the field, and it's about more than that because we're all here and we hang out outside of doing these things, and we've built friendships and relationships, and they're like Jay Kirkman and Jordan, who are like their own thing, but like Jay's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah,
Like,
I love
he's
Jay.
someone,
I love Jay.
They're good people, and I feel very fortunate to know all of you guys and to build those relationships, because otherwise at this point I wouldn't know anyone in the city to spend time with.
And I think it's important because, as Jorge said earlier, when he grew up, it was part of your being.
Yeah.
It's part of your DNA.
And
I think that's something that we're all laying the foundation for in this community to make it, soccer be community.
right. You're talking. You have 2 kids, I think.
3.
3. And how old are they?
9, 6, and 2.
So all of them have no idea. I mean, they're not really going to remember. The oldest, was 3-4 years old when the team came here.
Right.
This is part of his life.
No, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this and to start the whole thing in the first place.
Right.
What
are you doing?
I just won an auction on eBay.
What'd you win?
I can't tell, but it's going to be on the next show.
Okay.
Is it
But
that
I wanna
thing
see
earlier
it.
today?
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Live is the best.
I bid sniped it.
But that's what I wanted. I wanted my kid to grow up and like have this be part of what he does.
Right.
Have soccer be that important to him, like
Saturdays
basketball
to
and
go to
football
games.
was for me
Yeah.
growing
Yeah.
up.
Right.
And I thought it doesn't matter what the opportunity looks like, what the letters on the league are, or anything like that. As long as the opportunity exists, I want him to have that. And so that was one of the things that drove me to. And the guys that we started with were all kind of in a similar boat, JC and Martin, and then the list goes on. But they were like, this is something I want my kids to be able to experience, because that's really how you grow the thing.
That's
That's how it sustains
That's what
itself.
And at some point, we're going to be relegated.
Right.
It's gonna happen.
Right.
I mean,
It
like
doesn't
I
matter.
don't say that to be defeated. It's just gonna happen. You can't sustain that for so long. It's just not gonna happen, and that's okay. And it's about building that foundation with youth, and that it's not just about the success of the fields, even though that's fantastic. It's about supporting your team and the experience, because that's how during those lower years, or when you're going to it's a year where you're getting relegated, or you're in the relegated lower tier, that you still draw and you can still make it a place where players want to come to grow.
But by that point, it's a habit. You don't go
Right.
because you want to see the team win. You go just because that's the thing that you do.
But you do.
Yeah.
And the last point of that is because it's only 5 years old. It's not like we've been here for 50 years, and you're hoping that I guess I don't want to say we're assuming that it's going to be here forever, but we're in a much better position than most teams that have been around for 5 years from that standpoint. And I can tell you specifically.
Look at Tulsa. Look at Oklahoma City.
Right.
I mean, there are plenty of examples out there.
Look at St. Louis.
Charlotte.
Right.
Same deal.
Because I've been in the situation of having that and losing a team to just disappear. Because when the Cosmos died in 1980 and 81, it hurt because we loved that team. That team they were just as big as the Yankees in the mid-'70s, because the Giants were awful, the Knicks were awful, the Mets were awful, the Rangers were awful. All these teams were bad. So the Cosmos come around in the mid-'70s, start winning championships. You got 77,000 people showing up for a freaking game.
Yeah.
And it becomes such an important part of who we are. Losing a team hurts. It hurts. It really, I still remember that. And it was brutal. So, and the hope is that whatever we do here, allows, the point being is that what we do as a supporter community is what's going to keep that going.
You want to be Richmond Kickers without the garbage name and garbage logo.
Right.
A team that's just been around forever. And that
Isn't going
no
anywhere.
matter what, like they've got enough supporters and they've got enough history that team's going to remain. There's always going to be a culture there for soccer, for that team. Again, regardless of the trash around the actual brand.
Right.
Like that to me is like, that's an ideal scenario.
Right.
I just always have a team.
Yeah.
You said the word culture, and that is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what Taylor and I were talking about. You want that to be part of your life.
Mhm.
It is who you are and what you do.
So we've been out here for 2.5 hours. It's time to go.
Mhm.
So Taylor, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
James, thank you. We'll
Cheers,
do this
thank
again
you.
sometime.
Yep.
Thank you all. Next week, we have Dr. Mark Lynn, and we also have Chairman John Neese.
Wow.
Chairman John Neese is going to be
It's
here.
going to be a lot of
Glad to
income.
be
Will
a
Brad
lot more
Estes be
responsible.
here?
So we can
What's
get
that?
There's going to be a lot of
Brad
income
Estes.
in here.
No. Brad Estes will not be here,
We
but
said it 3 times.
Brad, I think say 3 times. Do we disappear or something?
Click your heels.
I'm not
And we-
drinking anymore.
And we will also be kicking off.
Work tomorrow.
We'll also be kicking off. We'll have the representatives. I don't want to let anybody know yet, but we'll have 2 representatives from the organization that we're going to be doing this fundraiser for. It's going to be a really good one. Hope you all are involved in it. Would anybody like to add anything?
Derrick
Yes.
also is going to have a big announcement with this bid that he won.
I'm going to tell you all off the air.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, like for the next show, I assume this is.
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be-
Oh yeah.
Pins and
Yeah.
needles, y'all.
There's going to be lots of toasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of toast.
Put a toaster.
Charity notes.
Yes.
Completely a different charity note than what we normally do.
Mhm.
St. Louis is doing their Louisville versus St. Louis product where there's a Louisville scarf and a St. Louis scarf.
Okay.
Oh, half scarf.
I'll
No,
wear some losers.
there's
bracket.
2 different scarves.
Oh, okay.
So $5 of the scarf goes to the charity chosen by whichever team supporters buy more.
Oh, okay.
So
That's kinda cool.
shop.stlouisfc.com. I think it's like $22. Get
Shut up, take my
buy the
money.
Louisville scarf. You're supporting charity, and we get a chance to beat St. Louis's supporters
Again.
And,
Again.
Yeah,
They
and we get to pick
tend to
charity.
outraise us when
If
we
we-
have these
Oh,
kinds
yeah,
of
they have
competitions.
everybody.
Yeah.
They're really good
Yeah.
at that stuff.
So get on it. Let's
Yeah.
do
Hey,
this.
dummies.
So that's about it. Everybody, thank you so much for joining
I have
us.
a rim shot.
Oh, God, rim shot. Rim
I
shots.
have 2 really quick.
Fire a rim shot out.
Number 1, I have something for you that you
Hey.
might that I promised somebody that I would give you on the air. This is for Mr. Doug Scott,
Oh, hell.
and I mean you shouldn't be surprised, but you might be. But apparently this is something that you ordered and name dropped Doug Scott, Louisville City Tailgaters.
Hello.
I delivered the shirt to him for you. You owe me a beer now.
Another group of people who, again, are we glad to have met, like
Absolutely.
Doug and
Yeah.
Rick and
Glenn.
yes, no surprise. Yeah, Glenn. Yeah, I mean that Sean, who is currently like just my heart like favorite player,
Mhm.
that he's such a great guy because his dad is such a great dude.
Right.
I'm just gonna toss this on right now because that's
All
what
right.
you do when you get nice gifts.
Nice.
It's like Christmas.
It is like Christmas.
It
I was the
is.
same thing. Try it on. Try it on.
We're planning on doing a Christmas remote, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
At the party.
At the
At
party.
the party.
At
Okay,
the party.
I'll make
These
sure
things
to
happen
make
when I, like-
space.
The Halloween part, my number.
There it is.
Nice.
Looks good. Looks good.
That's it, and I like this part, my little star.
Anybody else have anybody?
I have one more.
Go ahead.
I just want to take 1 second, and I've been thinking about this all week. I don't really know why. All of our players, I don't know how many of you guys watch this, how many of them are going to hear this. Any of you guys that have kids and you've got your families here in Louisville that are playing for our team, we appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I know that the hardships that you deal with when you're playing a professional sport, you're not around your family all the time. You've got newborn kids. Niall, I'm looking at you too, like specifically. You are very appreciated for what you do on the field, and what you do for your families. I just wanted to say that.
Cheers, yeah, it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
It is.
Anything?
The scarf was my part.
The scarf was And I guess
Buy them. Buy lots of them. Buy like 10 of them.
the only thing I would add to any of that is if there's anything that we can facilitate to help you get involved at any level with any of the supporter groups, if you want to play drums, if you want to get involved, just ask. I mean, it's a very accepting group. Please join us. So once again, for everybody that was here, thank you so much. Guys, we're going to run. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Vamos
That's
Rojos.
nice.
Salute.
Cool.